भारत के मध्य में ही इतना बड़ा हिस्सा अगर अपने आप को स्वतंत्र मानकर अत्याचारी शासन करता है, तो महात्मा गांधी का स्वतंत्र भारत का स्वप्न कभी पूरा नहीं हो सकता। के मुंशी और सरदार पटेल, ये दोनों ने, मुंशी जी ने एजेंट जनरल ए नाटे रिपोर्ट ली और माउंटबेटन के थर्ड डोमिनियन की परिकल्पना को विच्छेद करते हुए सरदार पटेल ने यहां पुलिस एक्शन लिया और हमारा ये हिस्सा आजाद हुआ। मित्रों, 13 सितंबर से 17 सितंबर 109 घंटे तक अनेक वीर यहां पर शहीद हुए। मैं अभी अभी उन वीरों के शहीद स्मारक को श्रद्धांजलि देकर यहां आया हूं। मित्रों, रजाकारों ने अपना डर खड़ा करने के लिए ढेर सारे नए नए कानून लगाए, चाहे विधायी का अधिकार हो, निजाम की निजी संपत्ति को निजी घोषित करना हो, सार्वजनिक कार्यक्रमों पर पाबंदी लगानी हो, हिंदुओं को मपूसा और गैर मपूसा के जमीन के अधिकार के कानून से अन्याय करना हो, महान तेलुगु, कन्नड़ और मराठी भाषा पर आक्रमण कर उर्दू माध्यम में ही शिक्षा होना ये आदेश करना हो, उद्योगों का निजीकरण करना हो, सरकारी भर्ती में अन्यायी भर्ती करनी हो या सांस्कृतिक आक्रमण करना हो, हर तरह से ये तीनों राज्यों की जनता को कुचलने का एक निकृष्ट प्रयास निजाम और उनके रजाकारों ने किया था, जिनके खिलाफ हमारे लोगों ने आंदोलन किया था और अंततोगत्वा हम विजयी हुए। मित्रों, कई सारे लोगों ने इसके लिए अपनी जान गंवाई। मैं 2-3 घटनाएं जरूर बताना चाहता हूं। परभणी जिले का गूड़ा गांव, जहां एक कुएं में गांव के 300 लोगों को डालकर कुएं को मिट्टी के तेल से आग लगाकर सभी लोगों को जिंदा जला दिया गया था। इसके साथ बिदर जिले के घोटा गांव में जिस तरह महिलाओं को अपमानित किया गया, आज भी हम नहीं भूल सकते। और मैं अभी तेलंगाना में मेरा बूथ प्रवास था, तब गुंडरामपल्ली गया था, वहां पर भी नृशंस हत्याकांड हुआ था। नरसिम्हा राव जी ने उसको दक्षिण के जलियांवाला बाग के नाम से स्वीकृति देने का काम किया था। ये सारे हत्याकांडों के खिलाफ, अन्यायी शासन के खिलाफ हिंदू महासभा, आर्य सभा और हिंदू जागृति समिति ने केशवराव कोरटकर और वामनराव नाइक जैसे महानुभावों ने महान लोकमान्य तिलक से प्रेरणा लेकर ये आजादी का आंदोलन चालू किया था। मुझे आज बड़ी संतुष्टि है, मोदी जी ने हैदराबाद मुक्ति दिवस को संपूर्ण शासकीय आदेश के अंतर्गत मनाने का निर्णय कर हैदराबाद मुक्ति के आंदोलन को एक प्रकार से स्वीकृति और श्रद्धांजलि देने का काम किया है। मैं मोदी जी को बहुत बहुत साधुवाद देना चाहता हूं और तेलंगाना की जनता को भी कहना चाहता हूं, आज भी जिन लोगों को 17 सितंबर को हैदराबाद मुक्ति दिन बोलने में शर्म आती है, उन लोगों को भी मैं कहना चाहता हूं, ये हजारों लोग जो शहीद हुए हैं, जिसके आधार पर आज आप सत्ता पर बैठे हो, अगर उनको श्रद्धांजलि नहीं देते तो उनके साथ आप द्रोह कर रहे हो। तेलंगाना की जनता को भी मैं कहना चाहता हूं, ये महान तेलंगाना राज्य की रचना जिस उद्देश्य से हुई, सत्ता पर बैठकर उद्देश्यों को जो भूल जाते हैं, जनता ने उनको नहीं भूलाना चाहिए। मुझे विश्वास है मित्रों कि ये जो आज मोदी जी ने परंपरा शुरू की है हैदराबाद मुक्ति दिन मनाने की, ये इससे भी ज्यादा जोर शोर के साथ अनेक सालों तक मनाया जाएगा। और हैदराबाद को स्वतंत्र करने वाले सभी स्वतंत्र सेनानियों के शहीदों के सम्मान में यशोगान हर साल गाए जाएंगे। मैं फिर से एक बार पुराने हैदराबाद राज्य के आज के तीनों राज्य कर्नाटक, महाराष्ट्र और तेलंगाना के पूरा राज्य के सभी नागरिकों को हैदराबाद मुक्ति दिन की बहुत बहुत बधाई देना चाहता हूं और इनको विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं। जिस तरह से मोदी जी ने पूरे देश को सुरक्षित किया है, मोदी जी जिस तरह से देश को समृद्ध करने के रास्ते पर आगे चल पड़े हैं, मोदी जी जिस तरह से भारतीय और भारतीयता को उच्चतम शिखर पर बिठाने के लिए आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, मोदी जी जिस प्रकार से हमारे सभी शहीदों को श्रद्धांजलि देने के लिए आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मनाए, वो उपक्रम निश्चित रूप से चालू रहेगा और हैदराबाद मुक्ति दिन का मनाना भी निश्चित रूप से चालू रहेगा। कोई मनाए न मनाए, भारत सरकार खुली छाती के साथ, हिम्मत के साथ हैदराबाद मुक्ति दिन मनाएगी। यही बात कहकर मैं मेरी वाणी को विराम देता हूं। फिर से एक बार सभी नागरिकों को तेलंगाना, कर्नाटक और महाराष्ट्र के सभी नागरिकों को अनेक अनेक अनंत शुभकामनाएं देकर मेरी बात समाप्त करता हूं। वंदे मातरम।
बहुत बहुत आभार माननीय गृह और सहकारिता मंत्री भारत सरकार श्री अमित शाह जी का। देवियों सज्जनों, गुजरात में जन्मे सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल को श्रेय जाता है अखंड भारत की नींव रखने का।
So you heard the Union Home Minister on Hyderabad's Liberation Day giving some details of Operation Polo, but making it very clear that the nation must know what happened when Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India, instructed the Indian forces to go into Hyderabad and defeat Nizam's forces and the Razakars and the atrocities that had been carried out in the Hyderabad state. Much more on that story, but a quick break. We'll get back to India's Operation Cheetah on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today.
Obviously, the biggest and most talked about story internationally right now is the death of Queen Elizabeth II. After a week of a particularly anti-colonialist drive taken by the government, strangely, a day of mourning was declared.
I find it unnecessary, Shiv. You have messages that come in from the Prime Minister, which is, okay, fine. You know, he's the Prime Minister, he's sending out a message of condolence on behalf of the nation. But then you take that forward and then announce 1 day of mourning in India. What was the need for that?
You want to reach out to the Raj in every way, or at least the United Kingdom as it stands today. Free trade pacts, student partnerships. You want to build a stronger relationship with UK, but we will decolonize by changing the name from Rajpat to Kartavya. Change my name also tomorrow, Rajdeep to Kartavya.
So what's bogus and hypocritical is not the name change. What's bogus and hypocritical is the mourning.
You know, doing good Kartavya, you will be called Kartavya.
We're going back to the topic.
Prime Minister Modi himself has been very diplomatically correct when it comes to global relationship. I think Modi has aced it. So this is basically just protocol.
A certain respect for Queen Elizabeth, the individual. And therefore, if the state decides to give 1 day mourning, theek hai yaar. Why debating? And that too in English. That too you are debating in English. The language of the Queen.
My view, if you are getting rid of St. George's Cross, if you're getting rid of Rajpath and those things, which is why it looks a little jarring to me.
Mourn the Queen, but don't show your allegiance to the empire like that by declaring state mourning.
Fact remains, special relationship is a two-way street. Hand over Vijay Mallya, hand over Nirav Modi. Do not hide Indian fugitives in your country, and don't let the British Museum look like an active crime scene.
All I'm going to say now, I personally believe that the India-UK relationship is way beyond the royal family, and that's the way it actually should be.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Heavy rains are affecting India and Bangladesh. More than 30 people have lost their lives to the floods. Bangladesh has lost access to electricity and the internet, while millions are stranded. Monsoons and seasonal downpours occur in many parts of the world in the countries close to the equator. But the best-known monsoon, due to its intensity and impact on people's livelihoods, occurs each year in South Asia. It runs between May and September. Well, as the summer approaches, heat builds over the land in the Indian subcontinent. Sea temperatures around the landmass, meanwhile, are much cooler. Warm air is less dense than cold air, so when heat over the subcontinent rises, air rises too, creating a vast area of low pressure. Over India, this causes wind direction to swing dramatically from the northeast to the southwest. Wind from the southwest, generated by high pressure in the Indian Ocean, then rushes in and fills the void left by the low pressure area. As it's full of moisture, it unleashes relentless rain over the land. Climate change, global warming, changes in land use and pollution can all affect the rainy season. Even dust from North Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, which heats up the air, can play a major role, making it even more intense. Monsoon is vital to the lives of hundreds of millions of people. 2/3 of India's population of 1.2 billion live in rural areas. India gets 80% of its precipitation from the monsoon. More than half of India's farms lack irrigation, so they depend almost entirely on the annual rains. But monsoon rains can also bring devastation and misery to hundreds of thousands of people through flooding, mudslides, and collapsed buildings.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. With me, my colleague Rahul Srivastav and India Today's biggest team of reporters on ground zero. Pooja Shali at the Kuno National Park and Ashutosh Mishra joins us from the airport in Gwalior. And over the course of the next 2 hours, we get you the latest developments on this big story, Rahul Srivastav, the cheetahs returning home, coming back to India, and the first such experiment of its kind. Ambitious.
Gaurav, extremely ambitious, because you're going to have a new cat on the block. 3 predators, 3 of the finest predators on earth are going to be there in the same ecosystem. That's one of the rare things to happen. It's not happened for a very long time, because at one time Palpur Kuno had predators of all kinds. It had cheetahs, it has leopard, and it had tigers. Tigers are still around. Remember, 140 kilometers away you have Ranthambore, and this is a very contiguous zone in which you have tiger movement. Once you're going to have leopard, tigers, and cheetahs, definitely remember, the more cats you have, more predators of this, and you preserve them, means you're preserving the entire food chain.
What an interesting aspect. But would the leopards and the tigers hunt down these cheetahs, as is the fear? We'll talk about that during the course of this broadcast. But I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Pooja Shali, and Pooja Shali is on ground zero. Pooja, the buzz on ground, Pooja, is all about life's about to change. How are things changing on ground in anticipation?
Well, rock solid plan here. A strong team of battery of wildlife experts, forest rangers, guides. Also, even the top of politicians in the government, union ministers are ensuring non-stop visits here. First, I want to quickly tell you about how the security personnel of the Madhya Pradesh police are ensuring that the traffic is controlled. I'm right at the gate of the Kuno National Park, so they are ensuring that any vehicle traffic that's passing, they are ensuring all these identity checks are being done, that nothing stops. There's no passage that is hindered in any way. But what does the Kuno National Park look like? I'm on the location that's set to become the home, or we're calling it the Ghar Vapsi of the cheetahs. That's the main gate of the Kuno National Park. As you can see, the Madhya Pradesh police officers, also the forest guards, the security barriers have been put up. That's the main gate, the banner welcoming Kuno National Park welcomes the cheetahs. All of this, remember, SPG has taken over with regard to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. We're talking about 8 African cheetahs to begin with. And that could be a beginning in 2022, 70 years later. And I can tell you here, these are the onlookers also standing here, Gaurav, around. And we will, over the telecast, will speak to them as well, because they're absolutely enthusiastic. This is an extremely backward area around. The villages have been relocated. They are looking at economy to be revived. And they are primarily into farming, or perhaps daily wage laborers, for which they have to go out of this town area, the Shiopur district. They will be hoping for revival of economy in this area. They are very excited that Prime Minister Modi is going to
Pooja,
come.
give me a moment. Give me a moment, Pooja. These are the first images that are coming in. The first images of the helicopters, the mighty Chinooks of the Indian Air Force. These are troop carriers and load carriers, the warhorse of the Indian Air Force, now bringing in the cheetahs to Kuno National Park. And when we look at these images, there were doubting Thomases, Rahul. There were those who said, this is a project that's doomed from the start. And yet, this is a project that you believe and many believe must be undertaken.
See, Gaurav, bringing them here from Namibia is perhaps the easiest part. Although it has taken a very long time, because it was 2009 when we started thinking about it, and we had proper meetings led by Jairam Ramesh, who was the environment minister at that time, in Rajasthan and several places between institutes and experts and others. The fact is that cheetah is a flagship grassland species.
Yes.
It improves, its presence improves the meta-population of a forest. And that is why bringing it here means a very, very interesting initiation of an animal who is at the top of the food chain. And that means you will have a lot of funds coming in, because you have one tiger in a forest means more funds. You have got more leopards, more funds. You've got cheetahs also, means definitely more funds. More funds means more forest guards, better equipments, better assessment. You have forest health improving. And that is why, say, for example, a Corbett, why does it do so well? Because there are more tigers. It's a correlationship. So more funds are coming in, more tourists are coming in. It's a very healthy ecosystem.
It's a boost to the economy.
Yes.
It's the boost to the ecosystem, and it's the boost to the economy, Pooja, that everyone's really looking at this point of time, where you are on ground zero, Kuno National Park. As you were pointing out, backward, poverty, but then now you have Cheetah Mitra. Cheetah Mitra.
जब ऐसा होता है तो दोस्त क्या करते हैं गुगली?
Pooja, can you hear me? Give me a moment.
Gaurav. I apologize for that interruption with the audio. Economy and ecology, both are going to be revived. And I can tell you, people here are so curious. Of course, for the media persons who have also arrived, they've been constantly asking me about, what does it mean to me? But I want to ask them, what does it mean to them? These are some of the villagers. A quick word from them, Gaurav, because it's about them. They will be living near and close to the national park. किस तरह का माहौल है? क्या यहाँ खुशी है? सवाल है? क्या होगा?
बिल्कुल मैडम, हमें बहुत खुशी हो रही है. हमारे 27 साल बाद हमें ये मौका मिला, जो 27 साल पहले हमारे जो गांव स्थापित हुए थे, तब हमें सपने दिखाए थे कि हम टूरिज्म बढ़ेगा और ये होगा वो होगा. अब जाके मोदी जी के द्वारा हमारे सपने सच हो रहे हैं। और हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे क्षेत्र के युवाओं को ये टूरिज्म के बारे में ट्रेनिंग वगैरह उनको रोजगार मिले, ट्रेनिंग दी
जाए। हाँ चाचा, कितना यहाँ पे खुशी, आप कितने साल से यहाँ रह रहे हैं? अब जब से
साल हो गई हमें तो।
हाँ
70 साल की उम्र हो गई।
70 साल तो चीता भी 70 साल से गायब है।
गायब है।
तो क्या यहाँ पे अब आप चाहते हैं सरकार से? आज मोदी जी भी आ रहे हैं।
मोदी जी आ रहे हैं, बड़ी खुशी की बात है, हमें बड़ी खुशी आ रही है मोदी जी से।
क्या एक्सपेक्ट करें आगे, क्या होना चाहिए यहाँ के लोगों के लिए?
सारी सुविधा होना चाहिए। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी 70 साल में इस जगह पे आ रहे हैं, हमारा बहुत बड़ा
भाग्य है। क्या मायने रखता है यहाँ शियोपुर के और इन गाँव के लोगों के लिए?
गाँव के लिए, इनके लिए उद्योग मिलना चाहिए। कोई
आज उनका जन्मदिन भी है, तो कुछ गांव वालों को, क्षेत्रवासियों को कुछ देके जाएगा।
अच्छा, देके जाएंगे। Already they are expecting gifts because it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's birthday. They are right. They are saying that this is a boost to them. Remember, villages have been relocated. They are expecting some skills, either daily wage laborers or farming, nothing else. And I can see that there is a lot of hope in this area. It's a mega project running into crores of rupees. Many skeptics are asking if this project should have been taken, which was for the Asiatic lions, but nevertheless, I think it's a big moment. We've been speaking to experts and they say it's a start. And I can tell you here at the Kuno National Park, there will be constant visits, anywhere, whether children are passing through, there are local villagers, all of them are perhaps looking at what Kuno National Park, the Shiopur, fairly unknown to people outside Madhya Pradesh, could just become an international destination for the ecology and economy revival. Over to you, Gaurav, in the studio.
Thanks, Pooja. This excitement actually reflects in your voice and in the voices of the people that you're talking to. But also ask them, Pooja, about man-animal conflict. Is there, Pooja, an apprehension that this could actually lead to man-animal conflict? Already there are fears that tigers, in Ranthambore, there could be a man-animal conflict there. Conflict between these cats, whether it's leopards and tigers targeting the cheetahs or the targeting of the human beings there, Pooja.
So in the Kuno National Park, that's been one initiative that's been ensured that there's no human habitation inside the park for which the villages were relocated. But there is a fear. But I want to ask them, because I also understand they've been spoken to and reassured. क्या यहाँ पर कुछ डर है कि चीता आ जाएगा, शेर है, अगर आप लोग को अटैक करेगा, चाहे वो पार्क के अंदर ही है, क्या ऐसा कुछ डर गांव के लोगों में है?
नहीं, बिल्कुल कोई डर नहीं, बहुत सुरक्षा है।
ऐसा क्यों आप कहेंगे कि डर नहीं है?
कोई डर नहीं है।
चीता खाता ही नहीं है। चीता इंसान पर
बताइए, ये सी दीस पीपल आर फेयरली नॉलेजेबल, बताएं।
चीता इंसान पर अटैक नहीं करता। कुछ लोगों को गलत फहमी फैला दी है कि चीता इंसान को अटैक, ऐसा कुछ नहीं। चीता बिल्कुल अटैक इंसान पर नहीं करता है, और जिससे हमें उससे कोई खतरा नहीं है।
तो नहीं है
उससे कोई खतरा नहीं है हमें
कि किसी परिवार को अटैक करेगा।
नहीं, इससे कोई खतरा नहीं है।
चीता इंसान को अटैक नहीं करता, बट इंसान ने चीता को जरूर खत्म कर दिया, बिकॉज इट वाज फ्रॉम वेदर इट इज ब्रिटिश colonialists, Mughal emperors, Indian kings, hunted for bounty trophies, for breeding in captivity, for flaunting them, hunted to expedition. Remember, Gaurav, in 1947, an Indian king of Korea in modern day Chhattisgarh is a documented fact that he killed 3 offsprings of the cheetahs. By 1952, it was confirmed in India they were not seen. 70 years later, this big initiative is being taken up. Villagers are enthusiastic and it matters to them. You're talking about a very important aspect. If they are convinced, they want to welcome this, well, what stops anyone else? And the skeptics perhaps in time will know. अब आपको लगता है कि कुछ बढ़ावा होगा? एक आखिरी सवाल, यहाँ के लोगों के लिए कुछ होना चाहिए आगे बढ़ना?
कुछ फायदा होगा
उनके लिए, कोई ना कोई मतलब उद्योग धंधा मिलना चाहिए। नहीं,
आप यंग है, आप लोग आइए, आप ही यहाँ रहेंगे अब कुछ साल। किस तरह का क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं? सरकार सुन रही है अभी आपको। शियोपुर के गांव के लोग किस तरह से चीता के अराइवल को देखते हैं आज? क्या चाहते हैं आगे?
मैम, प्रसन्नता के लिए देखते हैं मैम। क्या नाम है, युवाओं को तो मैम रोजगार के अवसरों का मौका मिलेगा। क्या नाम है उनको?
चीता आने से नंबर 1 तो क्या है कि पर्यटकों का यहाँ बढ़ावा होगा, टूरिस्ट आएंगे। उसके बाद में लोगों को यहाँ स्थानीय तौर पर साधन मिलेंगे, क्या के रोजगार के, वो अपनी दुकान चला सकते हैं। और जब लोग यहाँ आएंगे तो तमाम तरह के होटल वगैरह में व्यवस्था होगी।
अभी आप लोग क्या यहाँ पे नौकरी पेशा क्या रहता है, काम क्या करते हैं?
अभी तक तो क्या है कि ये ट्राइबल एरिया है, अधिकांश लोग मजदूरी करते हैं और खेती करते हैं।
Important aspect, Pooja, that these people are raising at this point of time. This will provide jobs. And very interesting, Rahul, they're saying that there will be no man-animal conflict. They sound very confident. Merit in their confidence?
See, Gaurav, there is one element that the locals know the forest the best. Actually, the oldest problem with conservation has been that people to whom the forests belong, or the people who belong to the forests, are actually taken away from the resources. And till they have a stake in that resource, till they benefit from it, they will never protect it. It has been a historic thing all over the world. Say Masai Mara has always done well because the locals are deeply involved in it. They benefit from the economy of a Masai Mara. Now, here it seems that the villagers are looking forward because this is a very backward area, Gaurav. This is where people really need development. But what are the problems? When you talk about conflict between animal to animal, see, these are not naive animals which are being brought here. These are coming from the forest. Cheetah is not a naive little thing. Yeah. He has coexisted with lions. It has coexisted with leopards and hyenas, fierce hunters in Africa.
And especially when they hunt in packs, wild dogs or hyenas.
See, there are problems here. There are problems. See, they will be initially done what is called a cold release. Cold release is they will be put in a boma. A boma is an enclosure in which they will be left for a while.
In fact, Rahul, we are coming to that aspect of boma in just a moment. But
the conflict part, human conflict, is a problem is that when there are tigers and leopards in this area, and also remember, Asiatic lion is also likely, the issue is in courts, can the cheetahs be pushed to the exteriors of the forest and create a conflict?
That's the conflict we are talking about. But let's now for a moment talk about this 8,000 odd kilometer long journey that these animals, these magnificent beasts have undertaken. 10-hour long journey from Windhoek in Namibia, first to Jaipur, and then on board these Chinook helicopters now to Kuno. We bring you the story of that special journey on board. A flight that was actually modified, that Boeing 747 modified for this flight. Take a look.
They're the fastest living land animals, and they're about to have a possible new dawn. Eight African cheetahs, 5 female and 3 male from Namibia, will have a new home in India. They're part of a first of its kind transcontinental mission to repopulate them in India. Cheetahs became extinct in India in 1952. 7 decades later, they're coming to India in a customized Boeing 747 aircraft from Namibia's capital, Windhoek. Traveling overnight, they will reach Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh on the morning of September the 17th. Then they will be flown straight to their new home, Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh in helicopters. In total, they will have flown 8,400 kilometers. The aircraft bringing the cheetahs to India has been modified to allow cages to be secured in the main cabin. It will allow vets to have full access to the cats during the 10-hour-long flight.
We discussed together how to do it, and we decided to remove all the seats and do a special modification for this particular flight.
The aircraft is an ultra-long-range jet capable of flying for up to 16 hours without stopping to refuel. This will allow it to fly directly from Namibia to India.
This is the same plane which will take 8 cheetahs from Namibia to all the way to Jaipur and then to Kuno National Park.
It is a very important consideration for the well-being of these carnivorous cats who would be traveling empty stomach.
These cheetahs are all wild caught, they're not captive bred. So we have successful experience of tiger reintroduction. There is no issue with these animals which have been identified for translocation, and the introduction program will be a successful program.
The 8 cheetahs, ranging from 4 to 6 years of age, are expected to undergo stress, lose weight, and possibly get disoriented during the translocation across such a large distance. That could also reduce their fitness for the wild. After they're released at Kuno National Park on the 17th of September, they will be kept in the Boman, an African word for a specially designed enclosure, for a whole month. In the Boma, carefully arranged prime cuts of small game of cheetahs has been introduced for these prime feline guests to hunt without competition for starters. This is expected to restore some of their spirit. After a month of acclimatization on a whole new continent, the radio-collared cheetahs will be moved to a bigger enclosure before being released into the wild in another couple of months.
This project is not something that is going to just be over as soon as we bring the cats there. It's a very, very long-term project. We're looking at probably not seeing results for 5 to 10 years. So it is very, very long, and just because we're bringing them there now, our work is just beginning.
75 साल से चीता लगभग विलुप्त हो गया था। पूरे एशिया महाद्वीप में कहीं भी चीता नहीं है। कूनो सेंचुरी में चीते का आना इस क्षेत्र की अर्थव्यवस्था को भी बल प्रदान करेगा, टूरिज्म को भी बढ़ाएगा और रोजगार के अवसर भी खड़े होंगे।
This is the first batch. India is about to sign a memorandum of understanding with South Africa, and a batch of 12 cheetahs are being prepared for translocation in October. With Ashutosh Mishra and Pooja Shali in Kuno National Park, Madhya Pradesh. Bureau Report, India Today.
Extremely fascinating, the return of the cheetah. In fact, everything that you want to know about the return of the cheetah, the positives and the apprehensions. Read the India Today magazine, The Return of the Cheetah, and this actually tells you the history, how there were thousands of cheetahs in the Mughal emperor's court, how subsequently they were hunted down, how did the situation come to a time when the last three cheetahs were killed, and by 1952, the cheetahs were officially extinct in India. Incidentally, there was a very ambitious project that late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi spoke of. Indira Gandhi spoke of a project where she wanted to bring in the Asiatic cheetah from Iran. Iran just has about 50 odd cheetahs, but unfortunately that didn't succeed because a regime change took place. The Shah of Iran was no longer there. Then again this project started, and the effort was made to bring these cheetahs from Africa. It lasted decades. This conversation went to courts, and Rahul and I and Pooja will talk about this in greater detail. But what are some of the concerns that must be addressed? There are those who say that this is a project that's doomed to fail. Their points are that grasslands are virtually non-existent in India. The dietary shift. Now, cheetahs hunt smaller prey, impalas and cheetahs. How will they get those cheetahs and chinkaras? They'll be reduced. They'll be forced to hunt cheetahs and chinkaras in India. No impalas here. Then the threat that actually comes from tigers and leopards and hyenas that hunt in packs, and that is where, when hyenas and wild dogs, Rahul, when they hunt in packs, that is where these cheetahs will become very, very vulnerable. Then the apprehension of the man-animal conflict. What about wild dogs? Rahul, are these genuine concerns, or are these naysayers, who will try and rain on every parade?
See, Gaurav, there is a scientific side to it and there is an attention side to it. That point of views are there. There will be people, there are conservationists, there are experts who know that there are a lot of pitfalls ahead. I think that only the easier part is going to get done today as a gift to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The fact is, the first one, very important, is that the Asiatic cheetah and the African cheetah, their separation, their genetic separation is now over 67,000 years. That means they have genetically separated, they are different. It can't be that Africans cheetah can live easily here. Like, for example, the Asiatic and African lions are now a lakh years away.
Rahul, the first live visuals are now coming in from on board the aircraft. Now these cheetahs are finally on ground. And this would be a shift for them in weather, in temperature, this 10-hour-long flight, then the helicopter journey. This would be some amount of trauma for the beast.
They will be under a lot of stress. Remember, they are being prepared. Interestingly, from where they are coming, the temperatures are ranging between 7 degrees to 22 degrees because it's below the tropics, so it's winter time there. It's one of the most beautiful weather right now, in fact, in Namibia. Whereas they will be coming into Palpur Kuno, which is a very dry area, and it'll be 25 and above. So there will be a bit of a temperature shock also, and that's why it will be a very slow release for them.
Okay.
There will be game release for them, that animals will be released so that they can hunt, but it'll be in a very, very controlled. There's going to be no hot release. Hot release means that you're pushed inside somewhere and asked to fend for yourself.
But you know, a jungle is all about survival of the fittest. But in this case, Pooja, if I can quickly bring you in, they will very gradually be eased into the wild. Pooja.
They will be kept for a month in Boma, which was large enclosures. These are not cages. They are massive kilometer-running enclosures where they'll be able to assess the situation. Gaurav, quickly showing you these buses packed with the local residents, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi, after the Kuno National Park, will be heading to the one meeting in Kalahar village, which is the self-help groups. He'll be meeting women, local residents. So he's not just inaugurating, releasing the cheetahs and then going back. He's ensuring he interacts with the local residents. So there are these packed convoys of buses and cars that are passing through. But how they are ensuring that that all of them are in a smooth passage, that they go, and these are the local residents happy and excited. They will be catching a glimpse of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Remember, for a district like Shiopar, Gaurav, this is a big moment for them to have Prime Minister Narendra Modi in front of them, to be coming down to their district on his birthday. So the police personnel here at the Kuno National Park are ensuring that the traffic goes smoothly. The entry gate is only for the politicians, the administration officials, anyone who has a valid pass to be in the Kuno National Park, which includes, of course, the wildlife officer. So I'm here right on the location where that historic moment is going to take place. 50 Asiatic cheetahs are only left in this world. They are in Iran. We could not get them because the project did not clear through. 7,000 African cheetahs are left, out of which 8 have come. It's just the beginning. India is looking at perhaps a historic moment today, and we are documenting it from the Kuno National Park on the ground here in Madhya Pradesh. Gaurav.
Fascinating, fascinating, Pooja. Stay with Rahul and I on this story. This is extremely, extremely interesting. And when you read this story, here in the India Today magazine, there is one part of it that I insist you read. The last of the cheetahs. How did they disappear? The last 3. How were they hunted down? That's there in this India Today magazine. But before you read it, let me tell you a little about it. We bring you this report. How in Chhattisgarh, present-day Chhattisgarh, erstwhile state of Madhya Pradesh, how the cheetahs were hunted down to extinction.
The cheetahs, like the falcons, are captured when full grown, and through their appetites are trained to do man's bidding. Each cheetah has a trainer whose sole job is to tend him at all times. When not being run, the cheetahs are kept on kotlas in front of the palace or taken for a walk in the nearby bazaars. The most picturesque method of running cheetahs is from bullock carts. So loaded up, we move off to look for blackbuck. We roll across the dry, hot plains, and every bump is relayed from the wheels through the floorboards. The trainer lifts the unsuccessful cheetah, and our cart moves on. The black buck are not afraid of the bullock carts, and eventually we approach closely to them. In India, cheetahs once ranged over country such as this, but now they are extinct. Another group of bucks are sighted and approached. The cheetah starts his run slowly and sets a pace and gauges the distance. He must husband his wind and strength. Usually the cheetahs are trained to kill only buck. However, this cheetah is now too old, so she is released at a doe, overtakes it, turning a complete somersault in a vain attempt to bring her quarry down. Regaining her feet, she puts on speed and makes her kill. While the cheetah throttles her prey, Mohammedan trainers rush out, breathe a prayer, and cut the throat. Another cheetah is prepared to run. Here the cheetah is filmed at normal speed. BAPA estimates their top speed at 80 miles an hour. Fortunately for us, The buck turns and runs towards us. In slow motion, both animals streak by, a study of two perfect runners in action. The cheetah trips his quarry and then attempts to get a stranglehold, while the buck fights valiantly and the trainers rush to aid the cheetah. The successful cheetah is hooded and well fed. At times the cheetah may catch 2 or 3 bucks a day, but usually one is the limit. The life of an Indian prince is one of sport and excitement. We feel fortunate to have experienced it.
So that's how these magnificent beasts, they just were extinct. Now, some very fascinating aspects about the cheetah here in this India Today magazine. Top speed 120 kilometers per hour. The closest next animal is actually a racehorse, which is about 64 kilometers per hour. Usain Bolt, incidentally, the world's fastest sprinter, 45 kilometers per hour. So you know the fascinating speed of the fastest animal on earth. How will this animal be protected and preserved in India? That's extremely critical. Pooja, before I come to Rahul Srivastav, tell us about the Cheetah Mitra. How people on ground, they are becoming stakeholders to protect this magnificent African cheetah returning to India.
Well, absolutely. We're talking about the world's first intercontinental translocation project that has been undertaken of the animal, and that's the fastest living animal and mammal on earth right now. Now, therefore, with people around, I was expecting that there would be some people who'll ask, what does it mean for us? What will it do for us? But here, the local residents are definitely very enthusiastic, because while we've been speaking to them, they've very categorically said that they're hopeful that the return of cheetah here will mean better for them, their life, their opportunities. And that's why you see these buses still full. And I've been watching these local residents going like in hundreds and thousands, and everyone who have been stopping to even ask a question, they are absolutely geared up to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You also see the politicians' convoys also that are heading out, because ministers are heading to locations. These are the convoys. It's a buzzing location right now, Gaurav, and the police personnel deployed at every few meters to ensure that it's a smooth process, not just for the cheetahs, but whether it's the politicians, whether it's the local residents, everything is in place. We're looking at a strong team of thousands of Madhya Pradesh police personnel, administration, politician, who's who, wildlife experts, everyone's got together.
And locals who are being given a stake in the protection of these cheetahs. The first images, Rahul, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's arrived. He's being garlanded. We're also getting a reaction from Jyotiraditya Scindia. Before I get you more on that story, let's also listen in to Jyotiraditya Scindia. Of course, these are images of the Prime Minister being received by the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan. You have Narottam Mishra, the Home Minister of the state, also seen in these images. But let's listen in to Jyotiraditya Scindia.
एक नया इतिहास रचने का कार्य हो रहा है। वैश्विक पुनर्स्थापन की एक नया इतिहास हमारे कूनो पालपुर श्योपुर में रचा जा रहा है। पर्यटन के लिए नई उम्मीदें जगेंगी और प्रधानमंत्री जी की सोच और विचारधारा कि भारत एक आर्थिक शक्ति और एक विश्व गुरु के रूप में स्थापित हो विश्व पटल पर, यही वही कदम है जो उस संकल्प की पूर्ति के प्रति एक नई कीर्तिमान स्थापित करने जा रही है।
So the Prime Minister's arrived, Rahul, and the fact that the Prime Minister is there lends weight to this entire exercise, which anyway is so fascinating.
You see, Gaurav, the opposition may criticize the government for making it a publicity element. But I think there is a positive to this. You see, the public meeting that the Prime Minister is going to organize and the kind of public mobilization which is happening is actually good. You know, it creates a larger sense and deeper sense of awareness about what is happening here. And that means there will be sensitization as far as the long-term conservation effort is concerned.
Okay,
if the
Rahul,
people are not involved, it won't happen.
The first image of the cheetah in India. You're looking at this image. Namaste Cheetah is India Today's special...
Very restive, Gaurav, you can see.
...coverage. Go on, Rahul.
Very restive. The animal will be very restive. It's again long flight, must not be used to. But one thing what we are being told, people are warning, is that it's going to be difficult. But remember, these are animals which are grown in the wild. They know how to handle the wild. And I think give nature the scope is perhaps a very important element, that let nature evolve on its own.
Yeah.
It was very abnormal way in which the cheetahs were eradicated. They went extinct, not just because of hunting, also because thousands were held like falcons and dogs by kings and emperors so that they can be used for hunting. Now, what was happening? That trained by their wild mother cubs were taken away for being kept as hunting dogs and then used. They were never breeding in captivity. So the talented ones were actually getting killed first in captivity, and that's why the numbers were dwindling. So I think it's eventually a positive step which is being taken. Palpur Kuno, remember, this is the place where they existed at one time.
True.
In this region,
was the traditional hunting ground.
It was one of their traditional hunting grounds, though it has changed now. It has changed because since the predators went away, the herbivores and other subspecies in the food chain took over the place. From open grassland, it became a woodland. So there are jharberis and bera berries and other plants which have grown up and transformed the place. But there is always scope, because remember, even in Masai Mara, where cheetahs are in abundance, there you have acacia and other scrublands. So there is always scope.
7,100 cheetahs across the world. 50 or 54, according to some reports, Asiatic cheetahs in Iran. 8 now in India. If this pilot project is successful, it will be scaled up to 25. Eventually, 75 is what we are hearing. Much more on this big story on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us on our special coverage on India Today.
Internet. For humans, life on Earth is unimaginable without it. We spend hours together on cell phones, but have you ever wondered how you catch this high-speed internet? So how does satellite internet work? Why is it useful and criticized? Very high-speed internet everywhere on Earth, including the out-of-coverage areas or blank zones, is the promise of satellite internet. 3 factors are necessary: a ground station connected to the global internet network, a geostationary satellite, and a dish installed at the subscribers pointing towards the satellite. With each search on the internet, the dish sends the requested data to the satellite, which in turn sends it back to a transmitting or receiving station itself connected to the internet. Once the information is obtained, the data will follow the reverse path. The pioneers of satellite internet operate using satellites in geostationary orbit at an altitude of more than 35,000 kilometers. The data travels a long distance, generating a latency time 3 to 5 times greater than that of asymmetric digital subscriber line or ADSL, an older
You are watching India Today.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage. I'm Gaurav Sawant. With me, Rahul Srivastav. Rahul Srivastav, of course, covers the political animals, but today he's covering animals in the wild. India Today has the biggest team of reporters on ground zero, from Pooja Shali to Ashutosh Mishra, to get you the return of the cheetah. But first, as always, the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lands in Gwalior. India Today accesses the first images of the cheetah in Gwalior. They are now on their way to the Kuno National Park. The special Boeing 747 landed early this morning in Gwalior with 8 cheetahs on board. A special team of experts is accompanying the animals. They are now flying on board Indian Air Force Chinook helicopters to the Kuno National Park. Union Home Minister Amit Shah slams politics of appeasement as India celebrates the liberation of Hyderabad Day. The Home Minister pays homage to the brave hearts at the parade ground. A host of events for Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his 72nd birthday. After welcoming the cheetahs, the Prime Minister is to deliver 4 key speeches today. So anytime now we will get you the images of the cheetahs at the Kuno National Park. And Rahul, for someone who spends a lot of time at these wildlife reserves, watching animals, shooting them with a camera, what goes through your mind that these animals, we're looking at these 4 images, the aircraft as it came into the country, the Chinook helicopters that are taking them to the Kuno National Park, the magnificent beast that we see on a television screen, what goes through your mind?
Gaurav, if we analyze it, it may sound romantic, but at one level, this is an opportunity for Indians to wash away this historic sins. Remember, cheetah was historically recorded the first Indian declared extinct animal.
And soon after independence.
Soon after independence. And I think we have an opportunity that in these cheetahs which have arrived, we have an opportunity to make up what we have done in the past or what we have not been doing in the past. The animals and this world needs a certain amount of space, and we need to start respecting that. Anybody who goes inside a forest or is outside the forest, for example, we were just watching Puja, and in the backdrop we could see netas driving speedily, horns blowing. I think, like we write on cars, child on board, we have to start remembering that there are animals inside the forest.
What a pertinent point you make there. Respect, learn to coexist, which is what all our religious scriptures actually tell us all our lives.
And this animal, you know, a tiger and a leopard will go for the nearest animal irrespective of the size. Whereas a cheetah is a very intelligent animal. It actually tries to identify the weakest and then hunt it down by running after it. He's a fitness guy like you. You know, he's a fitness guy like you. He finds the perfect prey, runs after it. So he's actually in that evolutionary race. Okay. He's a good animal to have because he doesn't go for the better animal. He goes for the weaker one who can be killed and perhaps maintain a balance.
The survival of the fittest is what we intend to see. And this is an experiment. The images you see on your television screen, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he's landed. He's being received by the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan. The Prime Minister, in fact, Rahul, has spent considerable time with, whether it's at Gir, of course, that's his home state, but even elsewhere. I want to quickly cut across and bring in India Today's Pooja Shali, who joins us from Ground Zero. Pooja, on ground, tremendous excitement that the cheetah is being reborn. And as Rahul said, it's time for us to wash away sins, perhaps, of past generations.
That's right. So we could not bring the Asiatic cheetahs that have been there in India for centuries, but nevertheless, African cheetahs, 8 to begin with, are entering. Here I'm at the Kuno National Park in Shiopur district of Madhya Pradesh. This is right at the entry where this banner that has been set up. And inside, of course, there is kilometers away where the park starts to begin. It's all been taken over by the SPG. But you can see that the cheetahs' welcome is for all to be seen. It's clear. It's a moment for the villagers also that's being noticed. But the police personnel, the forest guards are ensuring that nobody who does not live here has no reason to go inside, but only the police officials, the administration is being permitted. But what a moment that we are witnessing here today, and perhaps a beginning of an era. But I can tell you, it will be eventually for the local residents, the villagers here, like you also pointed out. They live not inside the national park, but around it. And therefore, the employment they get, the revenue economy, it will help them. If it gives them a better life, it will eventually, if it does help in coordination of the local villagers and the cheetah survival and thriving, that's when it will be a successful project, and that will be the responsibility of the government as well. But that will take years, probably a generation. But I can tell you, the children, women, men who've never seen cheetah, who only heard about Asiatic lions coming in, the cheetahs coming in, finally get to see. And for them to know that Prime Minister Modi himself is here, perhaps gives them more hope of a better life. Gaurav.
Fascinating. This is such a fascinating story of our times, Rahul. The fact that the cheetah is finally here. We've reported on it. We've talked about it. There have been many ups and downs in this journey. And as we talk about those ups and downs and the cases going in court, courts weighing in on this aspect, I want to quickly cut across and listen into the Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Union Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia.
एक नया इतिहास रचने का कार्य हो रहा है। वैश्विक पुनर्स्थापन की एक नया इतिहास हमारे कुनो पालपुर श्योपुर में रचा जा रहा है। पर्यटन के लिए नई उम्मीदें जगेंगी और प्रधानमंत्री जी की सोच और विचारधारा कि भारत एक आर्थिक शक्ति और एक विश्व गुरु के रूप में स्थापित हो विश्व पटल पर, यह वही कदम है जो उस संकल्प की पूर्ति के प्रति एक नई कीर्तिमान स्थापित करने जा रही है।
चीता समाप्त हो गया था। चीता को फिर से पुनर्स्थापन करने का ऐतिहासिक काम हो रहा है। इस सदी की वाइल्ड लाइफ की सबसे बड़ी घटना है ये, और इससे मध्य प्रदेश, विशेषकर उस अंचल में टूरिज्म बहुत तेजी से बढ़ेगा, तो उस क्षेत्र के लिए तो चीता वरदान होंगे।
बहुत मायने रखता है मैम, और बहुत खुशी के पल हैं। पहला खुशी का पल माननीय वैश्विक नेता हमारे मोदी जी का जन्मदिन है। दूसरा, जन्मदिन के दिन वो मध्य प्रदेश में है। तीसरा, चीता, अभी तक मध्य प्रदेश टाइगर स्टेट थी, अब चीता स्टेट बनेगा। पर्यटन की दृष्टि से इस ग्वालियर चंबल अंचल के रोजगार के अवसर पर्यटन में बहुत ज्यादा तेजी से होंगे और उस क्षेत्र का विकास बहुत तेजी से होगा और तेजी से होगा। और एक ऐसा व्यक्ति आज हम सब के बीच में आ रहा है इस शुभ काम करने के लिए कि मन पूरे प्रदेश का आह्लादित है, प्रसन्नचित्त है और पलक पावड़े बिछाकर अगवानी के लिए तैयार है।
And those are the first visuals on your television screen of the cheetahs landing, the Chinook landing at the Kuno National Park with the cheetahs. There you see the cheetahs have landed. Incidentally, 5 helipads were specially constructed for this project. Of course, we're also now being told that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's helicopter has also landed at a specially created helipad at the Kuno National Park. The Prime Minister being there, Rahul Srivastav, it actually raises the level of this entire exercise. This is now like a huge national endeavor.
Gaurav, it's very interesting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is here because the arrival of cheetah in India was delayed. Also, there is a Gujarat element to it. Why? Because in the 70s, one exercise got derailed to get it from Iran, the Asiatic cheetah, because of the regime change in Iran.
1972, when Indira Gandhi was trying that.
Yes. But later, it was Iran wanted that India should share some of the Gir lions, the Asiatic lions, and in lieu of that, there could have been an exchange of animals. But Gujarat was not ready to do it. And even now, for example, Palpur Kuno is waiting for the Asiatic lions because Gujarat is not ready to share what is its monopoly as far as the Asiatic lions is concerned. So Prime Minister's arrival this is interesting. Remember, Gaurav, today we have 52 reserves in this country, tiger reserves in the country.
Yes.
Our leopard population has gone up. The funds which are going into tiger protections have definitely gone up, though threats to forests have also gone up. But I think increase of people participation, raising the sensitization of the people, the involvement of top leadership, say for our Prime Minister himself here, I think these are good things as far as environment and ecology and conservation are concerned, because it needs virtually the participation of every single individual who may be living next to the forest or thousands of kilometers away from the forest.
What a pertinent point you make there, Rahul Srivastav. It will require the effort of every Indian, from the Cheetah Mitra on ground to Prime Minister of India, for this project to succeed. And do we see that happen already, Pooja? You're on ground zero. You've been speaking to those who've specifically and specially been hired for this project to ensure that the cheetahs remain protected, even in their special zones that are being created. All villages shifted out of that special zone. Villagers, Cheetah Mitra, friends of the cheetah. What will their role be, Pooja?
So clearly in just the next few minutes, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the 8 cheetahs will be landing here at the Kuno National Park. The cheetahs have already arrived. In the next few minutes, they will be released in a quarantined enclosure. The villagers are waiting. They cannot go into the park right now, but they are definitely waiting for the moment. So हमें पता लग रहा है कि cheetahs पहुंच चुके हैं. अभी नेशनल पार्क के अंदर है. कुछ ही देर में प्रधानमंत्री जी भी आएंगे. तो किस तरह से अब इस मोमेंट को अच्छा मतलब भाजपा का तो नहीं है वर्कर्स, यहीं के लोकल रेजिडेंट हैं, सो दे आर डेफिनेटली चीयरिंग. हाँ बताइए.
हम लोगों को बहुत बड़ी खुशी हो रही है कि हमारे यहाँ चीता आ रहे हैं. उसके बाद में मोदी जी आ रहे हैं. पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है तो हम लोगों को बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. हाँ, एक त्योहार है हमारे यहाँ. हमारे
त्योहार है यहाँ पे. इट्स अ फेस्टिवल फॉर देम. इट्स एन उत्सव.
हुआ क्षेत्र था हमारा जो है सबसे अच्छा होने जा रहा है.
कभी देखा था इतना लोग एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन
नहीं देखा. हमें बहुत खुशी हो रही है हमें, और हमें बहुत अच्छा अनुभव कर रहे हैं हम लोग, और हमें जाके लिए सारी सुविधा मिलेंगी.
क्या चाहेंगे आगे के लिए? सरकार सुन रही है अभी आपको. क्या कहेंगे यहाँ श्योपुर के लोग? बताइए.
श्योपुर के लिए सबसे पिछला क्षेत्र श्योपुर था हमारा, जो कि अभी तक इसका कोई नाम ही नहीं जानता था. कोई नाम भी नहीं जानता था इस क्षेत्र का. हमें इससे बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि हमारे गाँव, हमारा क्षेत्र, हमारा जिला श्योपुर का पिछड़ा क्षेत्र आज सबसे अच्छे उसमें जाना रहेगा. इसलिए हमें सबसे अच्छी खुशी है.
क्या प्रधानमंत्री के खुद आने से, खुद चीतास को रिलीज करने से एक अलग इम्पैक्ट होता है?
जन्मदिन पर आने पर हमारे क्षेत्र का और नाम हो गया. हमारे बीच में आके प्रधानमंत्री आज जन्मदिन पर आ रहे हैं, मनाएंगे, और इस बात की हमें डबल खुशी हो रही है.
हमारे गांव
हमारे क्षेत्रवासियों की तरफ से मोदी जी के लिए जन्मदिन की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, बहुत बहुत बधाई हो।
Alright, so villagers wishing Prime Minister Narendra Modi a very happy birthday, and it's for a moment for them because they will be looking forward to what the return of cheetahs means to an otherwise very backward area here. And I can tell you, I saw cattle on the streets. I can see pigs roaming around me here on the street, on the roads. People don't have jobs here. There are daily wages for which they have to go out. Either it's the local farming, but it's not a confirmed income perhaps. With the attraction that Kuno National Park gets today, there could be something but for both the animal and the man's survival. Gaurav, over to you.
Pooja, stay with us. It's extremely fascinating. You're on ground zero, actually looking at that event of the first 8 cheetahs that have come in from Windhoek in Namibia. And that's the first cheetah. You're looking at that image on your television screen. Rahul, the animal, as you pointed out a short while back, slightly restive in these images. Naturally, and a 10-hour-long journey, now a helicopter journey, and in temperatures, perhaps an environment that the cheetah is not so used to.
You could see that the animal was barking. See, it does not roar like a lion or tiger. There is a bit of restiveness which is visible. If you talk to experts, they will tell you, because they must be missing their environment and also their colleagues there. So it's a new place. The surroundings seem to have changed. They have traveled through very strange circumstances. These are the cameras which are located inside the crates in which they have been brought in, Gaurav. You can see there is a certain sense of jitteriness, and that's why a lot of monitoring, Gaurav. Each one will be collared, and each cheetah will be monitored by a separate team. It's not that a team is looking at all the cheetahs together. No, each cheetah is going to have a separate team to monitor them, so that their movement, what they are eating, how they are eating, where they're going, everything will be measured and kept in check by the.
Incidentally, none of that food is being provided to them. They will hunt day one onwards, a kind of a
cold release. It's called a cold release, in which they will be kept in a very controlled atmosphere. A game will be released and they can hunt, so that they don't lose their prowess.
Yes.
That instinct. Because remember, if they lose that instinct, it becomes difficult for them to survive once they are into it. And that's why what experts were against was what is called a hot release. Hot release means you're sent in, supposed to fend for yourself. That would have been difficult, and that's why a very slow, gradual process. And that's why people like you, me, and others who may want to see the cheetahs will have to wait for a little time.
We will wait, but Rahul and I, we were just having a conversation that as soon as we have an opportunity, we will go to Kuno National Park and look at these cheetahs. Now, I want to for a moment also tell you about the crate, this special crate that these cheetahs have been brought in. Specially created, 114 centimeters by 118 centimeters and 84 centimeters in height. There are cameras inside this crate. What we've also been told, that these animals were kept hungry on board the aircraft, so that the moment they're released, they're hungry and they look for food. So once again, Pooja, their food, some experts were worried that they look for impalas or they look for gazelles, and there are no impalas and gazelles here. It'll only be the cheetah or the chinkara. We are told that has been brought in for them. Prey has been brought in for them. Pooja.
That's correct. So the prey base that the reason Kuno National Park was chosen was because of the existence of chinkaras, deers. They are going to be perhaps likely in that enclosure, which is not like a cage, Gaurav. It's a fairly big, running into kilometers, a massive enclosure called the Boma, where they will be for a while so that they can adapt to the surroundings. Let me tell you also about, at this moment when they're released, they are collared animals. They're radio collared, which means their movement will be tracked, their health will be tracked for the next 1 month. And if, Gaurav, well, tomorrow, if you want to visit, I want to help you understand the location. This is the National Highway here. And right now, of course, the busy convoy of all the local women who are heading. And this turn right into the Kuno National Park. Well, right now, of course, there's a lot of security, and hopefully there will be visitors who are interested in wildlife conservation, who will want to possibly catch a glimpse of the cheetah and revive not only the ecology but also the economy of this area. So it's a big moment. I can constantly hear cheers from the local residents of Cheetah, and Har Har Modi, because it is a moment for them that they were not expecting. And like they were telling me, they've not seen anything like this before. But eventually it will be about the survival of cheetahs. If they survive well, they thrive, the cubs that will not be attacked by the leopards, because the fear of leopards in the area, who are known to attack cheetahs, is one of the queries that were raised by the wildlife experts. And they will have to survive all of this. They will have to find their prey. The deers and the chinkaras, they're known not to attack the animals, but of course one will have to observe their behavior. These are some of the characteristics. Next 1 month, Gaurav, is very crucial for this Kuno National Park if it wants to project that it is the new home for the cheetah's return.
So this is a pilot project. 5 females and 3 male cheetahs brought in. God willing, if this project succeeds, this pilot project succeeds, it's going to be scaled up.
Yes.
And not just here at Kuno National Park, God willing, to other parts of the country where a similar ecosystem may be created. And Rahul Pooja and I will talk about this in greater detail. But before that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 72nd birthday. He's one person who talks a lot about environment, about coexistence. 17th of September, was it specifically chosen? I want to also take you through another report. 3 years back on his birthday, the Prime Minister once again had chosen to spend time close to nature, to encourage and promote environmental awareness in our country. We bring you this report.
It was his 69th birthday on September 17th of 2019. Prime Minister Narendra Modi released a basket of colourful butterflies at a butterfly park in Gujarat. He named the saffron-coloured plain tiger butterfly as the state butterfly. That day he also visited a cactus garden and the Ekta nursery near the Statue of Unity in Gujarat. A month before that, he was featured in the episode of Man vs. Wild. The Prime Minister braved the rain and cold in the jungles of Jim Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand with famous survivalist anchor Bear Grylls for Discovery Channel's long series.
प्रकृति के साथ प्रेम करके कैसे जीना, प्रकृति का एक्सप्लॉयटेशन न करना, जितना मनुष्य के हक में है उतना ही जीना.
He walked through the wild, took a ride on a cold river in a makeshift boat, and spoke at length with Bear Grylls. Prime Minister Modi championed his commitment for conservation of nature and cleanliness. The host called the Prime Minister a great sport.
Prime Minister is a good sport. Well done.
I'm a massive fan of India for many years, since I first went to the country aged 18, So for me to be able to go back and take such an iconic global leader, like Prime Minister Modi on an adventure into the wild was a real privilege.
3 years later, the Prime Minister is all set to renew his vow to nature with the release of cheetahs in the Kuno National Park on his birthday. Independent India started to work on the project to bring cheetahs back to the land in 1970 with Prime Minister Indira Gandhi at the helm. It took India half a century to realize that dream under Narendra Damodar Das Modi. Bureau Report, India Today.
And let's now get you the first image. Rahul, this is the first image that's coming in of the cheetahs at the Kuno National Park. A lot of effort being made to ensure that the animals are comfortable. A lot of photographs being taken right now. Now, Rahul, just as these animals are brought in, what would the primary concern be?
The first few minutes, Gaurav. It's very critical. It's like you are sending a space shuttle to air. That moment of takeoff, the blast off, is critical. I think the moment they are brought in right now, I think it's handled with caution period. They have been, if they have been taken out of the aircraft, the helicopters, and are going to be shipped to the point where they're going to be released, I think these are critical elements. Gaurav, they are, one, stressful. You said it right. They were kept hungry so that they will go for the prey. Their prime concern would not be where they are or what they're doing. The first thing they'll be instinctively looking for is food. That actually leads to adjustment, because the primary strive in a living species life is food.
Yeah.
So they will be pushed into that. They will lose weight.
Yeah.
They will lose weight, and that's why the slow process will be that they gain weight, get acclimatized in the process. I think the process from here till the time of release is very critical. I think every wildlife conservationist, not just in India, Gaurav, I think in Africa, there are people who have worked tremendously for this release today. Because remember, there is a stress on cheetahs in Africa.
Yeah.
They want that it should expand so that perhaps they can be protected better. And that is why it's a very critical exercise which is going to take place in the next 1.5 hours. And I think everybody who's a wildlife lover or not will be watching what's happening in Palpur Kuno in the next few days.
Pooja, we are all very excited. You're on ground zero. The animals are now in the Kuno National Park. Tell us what happens now. What have you been told? How will they be released? How will the monitoring be done, Pooja?
They're radio-collared animals. What does that mean is that their movement is going to be tracked, their health checkup is going to be done right away. But of course, the first assessment of how they react to the new surroundings. World's first unprecedented intercontinental translocation of these cheetahs, and therefore as a big project not only for the governments of two nations but for the cheetahs as well. So everyone will be waiting to curiously watch their reactions. But apart from that, I want to add in here, this Kuno National Park, Gaurav, is 750 square kilometers long. Now, what does that mean? There is also around it forested and semi-forested areas of about 5,000 square kilometers. It is possible that once the cheetahs are able to assemble into these enclosures where they will be fit to then be released into the bigger areas of the park, they may be allowed access to that 5,000 square kilometers as well. That, remember, is because it's a 120 kilometer per hour speed. The fastest living mammal on earth. He needs that kind of space to run around for his lungs to thrive, and that movement has to be given to him, and that is why Kuno National Park is chosen. Apart from its mosaic area of the forest grassland, because of the arid, semi-arid climatic conditions and weather, it is the land that is available at Kuno for which cheetah can run around without getting attacked, predated or hampered with his movement. That movement needs to be given to him for 120 kilometers per hour. He needs that space of massive space of not just forested areas, but to be able to have that land, and that's why Kuno National Park is the chosen home. So in the next few minutes, of course, Prime Minister Modi is all set to release. I can tell you that the wait here of the local residents is getting much more curious now, because they've been asking me now, do I have the confirmation that Prime Minister Modi is inside, because they're tracking the news here on their mobile phones, on the television sets, and they're wondering, you know, if there's a delay at all. They want to see Shiopur, which was unknown to many beyond Madhya Pradesh, beyond India, could just be now becoming a world, international, global destination for cheetahs.
This is the first such experiment, Rahul. And is there a feeling that you and I, actually you, Pooja, and I, are watching history being made? 1947, we became independent. 1952 is where cheetahs in independent India were officially declared extinct. 60 years later, 2022, cheetahs are back.
See, yes, Gaurav, 70 years later, we are trying to correct a mistake. It has taken tremendous amount of debate, a lot of negotiations, a lot of expert opinions, stakeholder opinions, others, to actually arrive at this point. I think it will need to a large cumulative effort eventually to take what we are watching forward from where we stand today. I think it's a very interesting point. Remember.
Okay, the first image of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he's wearing his jungle hat. He's on a specially erected machan. Is this the process of releasing? Yes, the cheetahs are being released by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, being released in the wild, and the first cheetahs out. The Prime Minister shooting himself.
Oh.
The first cheetah is out, curious. The
Tentative.
curious cat actually looks around.
Very tentative.
Tentative about the surroundings.
Yeah, this is very humid, remember, Gaurav, and Namibia is very dry at this time of the year.
Fascinating, fascinating.
More than 70 years later, the cheetah was seen on Indian soil, Gaurav.
विचार विमर्श के बाद क्या होता है फिर से हमारे कैसे
Perhaps looking for food, checking out environment. The Prime Minister has a huge camera, there's a huge lens, he's filming the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh standing next to him on that specially erected machan. And the cheetahs, congratulations, Rahul Srivastav, the cheetahs have been released in this special enclosure.
Gaurav, it's fascinating. If you go through books written by, memoirs written by people like Emperor Jahangir, they mention that at one time there were so many cheetahs around that whenever his convoys used to travel, he talks about in his book that the spots on a cheetah's body are bluish in color. You know, there is description of cheetah, how beautiful the animal could be, that the spots were bluish in color. Akbar had thousands of it, of cheetahs for hunting. From there to today, where you see that one cheetah is catching the fascination of the entire country. There are eyeballs from all over the world, because as Pooja saying, made a very interesting point. It's the first translocation of a cheetah like this.
Yes.
That means the conservationists all over the world must be looking at it, that if this succeeds here, then there is great amount of hope for cheetah conservation across the globe, because Asiatic cheetah is virtually out. Because when we talk about numbers, Iran is not giving clear pictures, because experts say that the number is not 50, it's close to 30 now.
Okay.
It's not in a very healthy shape. So if there are just 30 Asiatic cheetahs left, and you can bring African cheetah, which is now what do you call
7,000 odd in numbers.
Yeah, 7,000 odd numbers, and genetically different, separated from Asiatic. Now you can create a new genome of Asiatic lion cheetahs.
But very fascinating images. I mean, just look at this. The animal's healthy. The animal, it just sauntered out.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that the first thing that the cheetah might have seen is some humans and Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
So when you look at this image, I would presume looking for water,
yes, but
looking for
look at
food.
the gait and the walk. I think that's something which is so special about a cheetah, Gaurav. Nobody walks like this. The legs, if you see the legs and the movement of a cheetah, it's poetry.
Because it's primed for a sprint.
It provides a thrust which no other legs can ever do on earth. 120 kilometers per hour.
The fastest animal in the world, 120 kilometers per hour. A racehorse is about 60 kilometers per hour. Usain Bolt 45 kilometers per hour. A Ferrari takes 3.1 seconds to reach the speed.
Sheer envy, Gaurav.
Sheer envy. Amazing, amazing images.
But perhaps hunted because of this quality only. Hunted and kept as a hunting animal because of the speed factor only.
So what happens now? The first 8 in, they would have to hunt for their first meal.
Yes, they'll be kept in a bomo where they will have to hunt for their first meal, so that they don't lose that wild instinct in them. That once they get used to food being provided to them, then they will start losing their instinct. And that is why after a very thorough medical checkup, I think the key is the medical checkups, which will continue to happen. After the medical checkup, they will be opened so that they can, within the specified controlled enclosure, Bumo, they can actually go out and hunt for themselves, and they keep their instincts alive. One will be very interesting in the next 24 hours, the kind of reports which emerge from Kuno is that how have they behaved because of this huge, long 10,000 kilometer odd journey they have undertaken, and then come into a place which is totally different. Remember, it's winters in Namibia, it's dry in Namibia right now, and it's humid in Palpur Kuno. And remember, it's close to Savai Madhopur and areas like you have Ranthambore, and on the western side you have got the Shivpur forest also. So all this is a contiguous forest area. So it's a very, very humid, oppressively humid, in fact, area. So one will have to wait and see what kind of reports emerge, Gaurav, after 24 hours.
But what a majestic beast. I want to bring in Pooja Shali into this conversation. Pooja, you've been speaking to forest officials, you've been speaking to those who are engaged in the task of looking after these animals for the next 1 month. Is it for the next 1 month they will be in this enclosure, Pooja?
That's right, Gaurav. As you look at these visuals of the gate of the Kuno National Park and the curiosity, and I can tell you, when the Prime Minister released the cheetahs, there was this cheer that went up because they're all tracking their mobile phones. In fact, most people don't even have a television set here. So they've come to a nearby shop. The shopkeeper had a mobile phone, and I'll try and go across to them to show them that. In fact, if I can, this is actually that shop where they are watching on their mobile phone about Prime Minister Modi. वो phone पे आप देख रहे थे. Okay, he's now back to his work. See, this is the mobile phone on which they were tracking. And when the cheetahs were being released, देखा आपने जब मोदी जी ने फिर चीता को रिलीज किया? जी जी. कैसा मोमेंट है आप लोगों के लिए यहाँ?
बहुत अच्छा, सुंदर हमारे क्षेत्र के लिए.
दिखाइए. Here. Take a look. It's Aaj Tak. Of course, which other channel will anybody be tracking, Gaurav? But on Aaj Tak on a mobile phone, here. They are ensuring they know why Shiopur has got the attention it deserves. So, that is what is happening. But I also want to add here that you're talking about hunting history. It's not exactly history because there are poachers who are going to be aiming for the cheetahs, and therefore the ITBP has been training dogs may likely be used to guard against poachers. And Dhol Dhamaka has also started, Gaurav, here. So there's dhol and dancing. We'll just go across to them in a short while. But for people here who've seen nothing like it, apart from the hope for ecology and economy for them, this is a moment they also want to cherish. And I can tell you, I'm going to go up, and when my son grows up, I'm going to tell him that when the cheetahs were being reintroduced to India, I was here, right at the Kuno National Park, reporting about it, documenting it. And it's a little snippet of that history that all of us will keep with us. And we do believe it's India's responsibility now to ensure that India becomes a home to these vulnerable species. And perhaps we can set a new benchmark of not making them go extinct, but perhaps conserving them, ensuring they survive and thrive in India.
Apart from the radio callers, you have teams of doctors, you have conservationists, you have experts who are looking at this project, because the success of this project will actually ensure if other cheetahs are to be introduced. And the plan is, if this 8 succeeds, then you bring in another 25.
Yes, Gaurav. The phased manner in which they brought in the first phase is, that's why the pilot project is extremely critical, because I think in the next few days a lot of data will be exchanged with people in South Africa and in Namibia and others from where these cheetahs have come, because they have handled cheetahs for a very long time. Every behavioral trait will be exchanged with them, that how they are behaving. See, there will be people monitoring how much they have eaten. If they have hunted something, how much have they eaten? Because are they eating too much? Are they eating too less? All these factors are going to be very critical in the coming days. Temperature, for example. Remember, one very interesting fact is that in this area, the Asiatic cheetah used to depend on black bucks. Jahangir, if you read Jahangir's memoirs again, he talks about how there were hundreds and hundreds of black buck if you travel from Agra to this area. There are no more black bucks there. So the habitat has changed. And in that changed habitat, what is going to be the long-term feed as far as the food chain of the cheetah is concerned is another concern.
What about those who argue that we are now messing with environment? Cheetahs, they were hunted, they've been extinct since 1952. India should actually protect the Asiatic lion, bring in the Asiatic lion here, or protect those animals that belong to this area instead of messing around and bringing something from Africa.
See, there are a lot of questions of this kind. Also, there are questions that you are bringing animals from outside, which means that you will be introducing newer diseases into India's ecological system. That can there be a parasite load? which will come in and impact actually one of the most precious of Indian species, the Indian tiger.
The tiger.
And remember, they coexist. It's a contiguous area, and animals don't stay like humans can in isolation. So there is always a threat. People will say this is messing with nature, but it is humans who have already messed up with nature by driving them instinct. Say, for example, in Sariska, there were no tigers left, but tigers were brought back. Remember, when people say that this should not happen, I think it's important to bring in these predators and these cats because they control the ecosystem. They control the food chain. At one time, there were forests in India and all over the world. When these predators went out, the herbivores and other subspecies took over, the forests disappeared. And that is why the top of the chain, food chain animals like a cheetah, a lion and a tiger are critical as far as forest ecosystems are concerned.
In fact, Pooja, when you were speaking to some of the environmentalists and conservationists in Kuno, there were some apprehensions about the leopard, the tiger at Ranthambore and the cheetahs. Can they coexist or would that be a threat? Especially leopards and tigers for these cheetahs, hyenas and dogs, dogs hunting in packs, a big threat for these cheetahs.
That's right, Gaurav. So basically, the Kuno National Park is actually a project that was introduced for the Asiatic lions, and that could not really go through. It was not something that eventually panned out, and that's why the critics have said, well, if it was for the lions, why are you bringing the cheetahs in? But according to the government and the wildlife experts, remember, this is not just happening at the political level. Global wildlife experts, scientists, biological experts with regard to what happens to the African cheetahs who will be brought in, what sort of an environment is there for them. All of these are discussions that have gone on at global level. Experts have been taken into consideration, and there's a reason that Kuno National Park was eventually chosen one. It's not the only national park I want to add here. Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, both states had several national parks and others were also checked. Eventually, given the climate, weather, the land and perhaps the dangers against them, they were then chosen for this in Madhya Pradesh. But can you look, if my colleague Himanshu will slightly zoom in, onlookers have already started to arrive. The police have to right now tell them to go, that the place is not okay, but Dhol Dhamaka dance by the residents have already started, and it's a celebration for them. It's a moment of hope. Of course, there is a debate of what really it means, and only years will tell how this project pans out. But for the onlookers here, for the local residents, they're looking at something better for themselves. And perhaps they want to also cherish this moment. And the success of this project will only be when not only the cheetahs survive and thrive, Gaurav, but it will be about if the men and women living here, the children, they will also be able to show forth. Let me take you through the visuals here. As you can see, perhaps all the action is not just inside the park, Gaurav, but even outside here at the Kuno National Park. Over to you back in the studio.
So cheetahs inside, and some of these villagers, Rahul, they clearly realize their lives are about to change. There will be perhaps, if not thousands, initially at least hundreds of tourists who will go there.
See, Gaurav, I think yes, lives are going to change, but they will have to change. You can't have drum beats around a forest. Yes, definitely it can. See, remember the amount of funds which will be going into Palpur Kuno. Gaurav, I go to Palpur Kuno and Shivpur Forest almost once a year. And it's in a terrible shape. In fact, in the last few trips I've gone there, I know more about the birds and the animals and their names in the forest than the forest guards. That's a state. Though Madhya Pradesh has a very good track record in conservation. Their tiger reserves are one of the... No, that's Rajasthan. You have got Panna, you have got Kanha, Bandhavgarh and others are Madhya Pradesh, and they are fantastic tiger reserves. They've done very well. So Madhya Pradesh has a track record of conservation which is better than not many others. The fact remains is that people need to change. Remember one thing which you and Pooja have been making is that close to Ranthambore, tigers come in. Leopards, 30 leopards are already there as residents of Palpur Kuno. Now these are two very fine hunters, and not only they are fine hunters, they're very aggressive animals. Now these two aggressive animals, if they coexist, they may push the cheetah out to the outer peripheries of the forest, and that's where these locals, there can be a fear of a conflict for a cheetah, and cheetah, remember, is not a leopard and a tiger, and that's why the worry for the conservationists is that can the cheetah be pushed to the edges, increasing human conflict and perishing. In Masai Mara and others,
what are lessons from Ranthambore, Kanha and Panna for Kuno?
See, the basic thing is that you need to have a very well-monitored forest. A forest in which the human interference is minimum. When we say a boost in tourism, Gaurav, say for example in Palpur, Kuno and Shivpur forest, you can drive your own vehicle till a few days ago and go inside the forest. That has to stop. The intervention, when we say people, the government is intervening, adding new animals, human interference needs to be minimized so that only in small areas for tourist purposes people can go in. Otherwise, let the forest and the animals do and decide what evolution usually does.
Okay. Pooja, do we have an idea how long does the first phase of this exercise of monitoring remain? Of course, in these images now, apart from the Chief Minister and the Prime Minister, you also have the Environment Minister, Bhupendra Yadav, on stage, and perhaps very, very critical role for the three to play to ensure that this pilot project is successful, Pooja.
Well, that's right, and that test starts right away, Gaurav, because with the radio-collared animals that they are, their health checkup, health status, separation anxiety with regard to the change in location, have they adapted to the habitat? Will they be able to prey on the available prey base that is available to them in the enclosures right now? Now, this is a boma, it's not a cage. It is an enclosure where they will be able to move around, possibly run around for a while as well. But here, their test begins today. Celebration, yes, for the local villagers, for the government that they've managed to get the first batch. But the test begins from today itself. And they're looking at the next 1 month specifically, 1 month crucial of how to...
नए भविष्य के निर्माण का मौका देता है। आज सौभाग्य से हमारे सामने एक ऐसा ही क्षण है। दशकों पहले जैव विविधता की सदियों पुरानी जो कड़ी टूट गई थी, विलुप्त हो गई थी, आज हमें उसे फिर से जोड़ने का मौका मिला है। आज भारत की धरती पर चीता लौट आए हैं और मैं ये भी कहूंगा कि इन चीतों के साथ ही भारत की प्रकृति प्रेमी चेतना भी पूरी शक्ति से जागृत हो उठी है। मैं इस ऐतिहासिक अवसर पर सभी देशवासियों को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। विशेष रूप से मैं हमारे मित्र देश नामीबिया और वहां की सरकार का भी धन्यवाद करता हूं, जिनके सहयोग से दशकों बाद चीते भारत की धरती पर वापस लौटे हैं। मुझे विश्वास है ये चीते न केवल प्रकृति के प्रति हमारी जिम्मेदारियों का बोध कराएंगे, बल्कि हमारे मानवीय मूल्यों और परंपराओं से भी अवगत कराएंगे। साथियों, जब हम अपनी जड़ों से दूर होते हैं तो बहुत कुछ खो बैठते हैं। इसलिए ही आजादी के इस अमृत काल में हमने अपनी विरासत पर गर्व और गुलामी की मानसिकता से मुक्ति जैसे पंच प्राणों के महत्व को दोहराया है। पिछली सदियों में हमने वो समय भी देखा है जब प्रकृति के दोहन को शक्ति प्रदर्शन और आधुनिकता का प्रतीक मान लिया गया था। 1947 में जब देश में केवल आखिरी 3 चीते बचे थे तो उनका भी साल के जंगलों में निष्ठुरता व गैर जिम्मेदारी से शिकार कर लिया गया। ये दुर्भाग्य रहा कि हमने 1952 में चीतों को देश से विलुप्त तो घोषित कर दिया, लेकिन उनके पुनर्वास के लिए दशकों तक कोई सार्थक प्रयास नहीं हुआ। आज आजादी के अमृत काल में अब देश नई ऊर्जा के साथ चीतों के पुनर्वास के लिए जुट गया है। अमृत में तो वो सामर्थ्य होता है जो मृत को भी पुनर्जीवित कर देता है। मुझे खुशी है कि आजादी के अमृत काल में कर्तव्य और विश्वास का ये अमृत हमारी विरासत को, हमारी धरोहरों को और अब चीतों को भी भारत की धरती पर पुनर्जीवित कर रहा है। इसके पीछे हमारी वर्षों की मेहनत है। एक ऐसा कार्य राजनीतिक दृष्टि से जिसे कोई महत्व नहीं देता, उसके पीछे भी हमने भरपूर ऊर्जा लगाई। इसके पीछे एक विस्तृत चीता एक्शन प्लान तैयार किया गया। हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने लंबी रिसर्च की, साउथ अफ्रीकन और नामीबियाई एक्सपर्ट के साथ मिलकर काम किया। हमारी टीम्स वहां गई, वहां के एक्सपर्ट भी भारत आए। पूरे देश में चीतों के लिए सबसे उपयुक्त क्षेत्र के लिए वैज्ञानिक सर्वे किए गए और तब कूनो नेशनल पार्क को इस शुरुआत के लिए चुना गया। और आज हमारी वो मेहनत परिणाम के रूप में हमारे सामने है। साथियों, ये बात सही है कि जब प्रकृति और पर्यावरण का संरक्षण होता है तो हमारा भविष्य भी सुरक्षित होता है। विकास और समृद्धि के रास्ते भी खुलते हैं। कूनो नेशनल पार्क में जब चीता फिर से दौड़ेंगे तो यहां का ग्रासलैंड इकोसिस्टम फिर से रिस्टोर होगा, बायोडायवर्सिटी और बढ़ेगी। आने वाले दिनों में यहां इको टूरिज्म भी बढ़ेगा, यहां विकास की नई संभावनाएं जन्म लेगी, रोजगार के अवसर बढ़ेंगे। लेकिन साथियों, मैं आज आपसे सभी देशवासियों से एक आग्रह भी करना चाहता हूं। कूनो नेशनल पार्क में छोड़े गए चीतों को देखने के लिए देशवासियों को कुछ महीने का धैर्य दिखाना होगा, इंतजार करना होगा, सहयोग करना होगा। आज ये चीते मेहमान बनकर आए हैं, इस क्षेत्र से अनजान है। कूनो नेशनल पार्क को ये चीते अपना घर बना पाए, इसके लिए हमें इन चीतों को भी कुछ महीने का समय देना होगा। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय गाइडलाइंस पर चलते हुए भारत इन चीतों को बसाने की पूरी कोशिश कर रहा है। हमें अपने प्रयासों को विफल नहीं होने देना है। साथियों, दुनिया आज जब प्रकृति और पर्यावरण की ओर देखती है तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की बात करती है, लेकिन प्रकृति और पर्यावरण, पशु और पक्षी भारत के लिए एक केवल सस्टेनेबिलिटी और सिक्योरिटी के विषय ही सिर्फ है, ऐसा नहीं है। हमारे लिए ये हमारी सेंसिबिलिटी और स्पिरिचुअलिटी का भी आधार है। हम वो लोग हैं जिनका सांस्कृतिक अस्तित्व सर्वम खल्विदम ब्रह्म इस मंत्र पर टिका हुआ है। अर्थात संसार में पशु, पक्षी, पेड़, पौधे, जड़, चेतन जो कुछ भी है वो ईश्वर का ही स्वरूप है, हमारा अपना ही विस्तार है। हम वो लोग हैं जो कहते हैं परम परोपकारार्थम यो जीवति सह जीवति, अर्थात खुद के फायदे को ध्यान में रख करके जीना वास्तविक जीवन नहीं है। वास्तविक जीवन वो जीता है जो परोपकार के लिए जीता है। इसलिए हम जब खुद भोजन करते हैं उसके पहले पशु पक्षियों के लिए अन्न निकालते हैं। हमारे आसपास रहने वाले छोटे से छोटे जीव की भी चिंता करना हमें सिखाया जाता है, बचपन से सिखाया जाता है। हमारे संस्कार ऐसे हैं कि कहीं अकारण किसी जीव का जीवन चला जाए तो हम अपराध बोध से भर जाते हैं। फिर किसी पूरी जीव जाति का अस्तित्व ही अगर हमारी वजह से मिट जाए, ये हमें कैसे स्वीकार हो सकता है? आप सोचिए, हमारे यहां कितने ही बच्चों को ये पता तक नहीं होता है कि जिस चीता के बारे में सुनकर वो बड़े हो रहे हैं वो उनके देश से पिछली शताब्दी में ही लुप्त हो चुके हैं। आज अफ्रीका के कुछ देशों में और ईरान में चीता पाए जाते हैं, लेकिन भारत का नाम उस लिस्ट से बहुत पहले हटा दिया गया था। आने वाले वर्षों में बच्चों को इस विडंबना से नहीं गुजरना पड़ेगा। मुझे विश्वास है वो चीता को अपने ही देश में कूनो नेशनल पार्क में दौड़ता देख पाएंगे। चीता के जरिए आज हमारे जंगल और जीवन उसका एक बड़ा शून्य भर रहा है। साथियों, आज 21वीं सदी का भारत पूरी दुनिया को संदेश दे रहा है कि इकोनॉमी और इकोलॉजी कोई विरोधाभासी क्षेत्र नहीं है। पर्यावरण की रक्षा के साथ ही देश की प्रगति भी हो सकती है। ये भारत ने दुनिया को करके दिखाया है। आज एक और हम विश्व की तेजी से बढ़ती अर्थव्यवस्था में शामिल है, तो साथ ही देश के वन क्षेत्रों का विस्तार भी तेजी से हो रहा है। साथियों, 2014 में हमारी सरकार बनने के बाद से देश में करीब करीब 250 नए संरक्षित क्षेत्र जोड़े गए हैं। हमारे यहां एशियाई शेरों की संख्या में भी बड़ा इजाफा हुआ है। आज गुजरात देश में एशियाई शेरों का बड़ा क्षेत्र बनकर उभरा है। इसके पीछे दशकों की मेहनत, रिसर्च बेस्ड पॉलिसीज और जन भागीदारी की बड़ी भूमिका है। मुझे याद है, हमने गुजरात में एक संकल्प लिया था, हम जंगली जीवों के लिए सम्मान बढ़ाएंगे और संघर्ष घटाएंगे। आज उस सोच का प्रभाव परिणाम के रूप में हमारे सामने है। देश में भी टाइगर्स की संख्या को दोगुना करने का जो लक्ष्य तय किया गया था, हमने उसे समय से पहले हासिल किया है। असम में एक समय एक सींग वाले गैंडों का अस्तित्व खतरे में पड़ने लगा था, लेकिन आज उनकी भी संख्या में वृद्धि हुई है। हाथियों की संख्या भी पिछले वर्षों में बढ़कर 30,000 से ज्यादा हो गई है। भाई और बहनों, देश में प्रकृति और पर्यावरण के दृष्टिकोण से जो एक और बड़ा काम हुआ है, वो है वेटलैंड का विस्तार। भारत ही नहीं, पूरी दुनिया में करोड़ों लोगों का जीवन और उनकी जरूरतें वेटलैंड इकोलॉजी पर निर्भर करती हैं। आज देश में 75 वेटलैंड्स को रामसर साइट्स के रूप में घोषित किया गया है, जिनमें 26 साइट्स पिछले 4 वर्षों में ही जोड़ी गई हैं। देश के इन प्रयासों का प्रभाव आने वाली सदियों तक दिखेगा और प्रगति के नए पथ प्रशस्त करेगा। साथियों, आज हमें वैश्विक समस्याओं को, समाधानों को और यहां तक कि अपने जीवन को भी होलिस्टिक वे में देखने की जरूरत है। इसलिए आज भारत ने विश्व के ये LIFE लाइफ यानी लाइफस्टाइल फॉर द एनवायरमेंट जैसा जीवन मंत्र दिया है। आज इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस जैसे प्रयासों के द्वारा भारत दुनिया को एक मंच दे रहा है, एक दृष्टि दे रहा है। इन प्रयासों की सफलता दुनिया की दिशा और भविष्य तय करेगी। इसलिए आज समय है कि हम ग्लोबल चुनौतियों को दुनिया की नहीं, अपनी व्यक्तिगत चुनौती भी माने। हमारे जीवन में एक छोटा सा बदलाव पूरी पृथ्वी के भविष्य के लिए एक आधार बन सकता है। मुझे विश्वास है, भारत के प्रयास और परंपराएं इस दिशा में पूरी मानवता का पथ प्रदर्शन करेगी, बेहतर विश्व के सपने को ताकत देगी। इसी विश्वास के साथ आप सभी को इस मूल्यवान समय पर, ऐतिहासिक समय पर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं, बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
Cheetahs finally returned to India after 70 years. The Prime Minister has released 5 female cheetahs and 3 male cheetahs. in Madhya Pradesh's Kuno National Park. These pictures from a while ago. He released the cheetahs into the enclosure at the national park. The wildcats will remain at the enclosure, which is 10 kilometers wide, for a month. He's hailed the historic moment but hit out at the UPA government for not repopulating cheetahs since 1952. 8 cheetahs have been brought to India from Namibia on the Prime Minister's 72nd birthday. The big cats travelled over 8,000 kilometers in Boeing 747-400 aircraft and then were taken to the national park on Air Force choppers.
आप सोचिए 70-75 साल हो गए हमारे देश में.
Project Cheetah is going to be a boost to tourism, is what the Prime Minister said, at the same time heading out to the previous government for not doing enough. 8 cheetahs have been released into the wild. The Prime Minister spoke a while ago. Listen in.
मैं हमारे मित्र देश नामीबिया और वहां की सरकार का भी धन्यवाद करता हूं, जिनके सहयोग से दशकों बाद चीते भारत की धरती पर वापस लौटे हैं। दशकों पहले जैव विविधता की सदियों पुरानी जो कड़ी टूट गई थी, विलुप्त हो गई थी, आज हमें उसे फिर से जोड़ने का मौका मिला है। आज भारत की धरती पर चीता लौट आए हैं। ये दुर्भाग्य रहा कि हमने 1952 में चीतों को देश से विलुप्त तो घोषित कर दिया, लेकिन उनके पुनर्वास के लिए दशकों तक कोई सार्थक प्रयास नहीं हुआ। आज आजादी के अमृतकाल में अब देश नई ऊर्जा के साथ चीतों के पुनर्वास के लिए जुट गया है।
Colleague Pooja Shali is at Ground Zero getting us the very latest on that story. Pooja, you're lucky to be there with the Kuno National Park right now. I'm sure this is history in the making that you witnessed today. Just get us the mood around you. With these things, there is some amount of apprehension. What are the villagers there really telling you? What's the mood like, given that for months now, these beautiful big cats are going to be tracked by the authorities, are going to be tracked, their movement is going to be monitored. All of that is going to be done. So it's not going to be business as usual for these animals, isn't it?
That's right, Sneha. So 2 quick points. Now, the world is watching. This is the first intercontinental translocation of these African cheetahs into India. So the world is watching because it's also a huge risk of an initiative. Crores of rupees have been spent to get these cheetahs back into India, but this time the African cheetahs, because the Asiatic cheetahs are extinct from India, way too small a number, in about 30 to 50 in Iran. That initiative could not come through. But the world is watching, I say, because if this succeeds, if the cheetahs manage to survive and thrive here at the Kuno National Park, have their cubs, and then generations later on find this as a base, this can become an example that this is a possibility that can be undertaken. And there are already skeptics who have said this was meant for an Asiatic lion, why have you brought the cheetahs in? So there is a lot that perhaps will be on the government, on the wildlife experts, on the Kuno National Park that has been chosen as the home for these cheetahs. Now, second, as you can see behind me, the situation here around the area, the villagers who had to be relocated if they were inside the park, they were relocated in the nearby area. Their livelihood is farming and daily wage jobs. They're not skilled laborers, so they have to go out, get whatever they want. They are absolutely enthusiastic. They believe that one, apart from all the attention that this place has got, Shiopur district of Madhya Pradesh, unknown to many even across India, that perhaps this attention to the Kuno National Park can get them employment, can get this place much more livelihood. They can set up shops here and that can get them some money. So they are banking on what this means as a global international destination That will only depend if the project survives. Now, the local residents, of course, are not wanting to be in conflict with the cheetah. It will be in the 750 square kilometers Kuno National Park. There is a forested, semi-forested area around it, about 5,000 square kilometer. The cheetahs, once they get stable in the surroundings, they may be allowed in those forested areas as well. They need a space. Sneha, we are talking about 120 kilometers per hour, the fastest living animal on earth. India has taken the responsibility to ensure it thrives, that India becomes a home to the cheetahs. If it succeeds, it is going to be for the history books. And Prime Minister ensuring that 17 September 2022, 70 years later, not just for the local residents, not just for the wildlife experts, but for the world, this could be a big initiative. Over to you.
All right, Pooja, I'm going to come back to you for more on that. Continue to be with us. We have some news just coming in. Let's go straight to that. Well, moments after the historic translocation, the Congress has reacted. Jairam Ramesh has called the release of cheetahs by Prime Minister Modi a tamasha. Jairam Ramesh has tweeted, Prime Minister hardly ever acknowledges continuity in governance. Cheetah project going back to my visit to Cape Town in the year 2010. He's specific about the date, 25th of April 2010, is the latest example, he says. The tamasha orchestrated by the Prime Minister today is unwarranted and is yet another diversion from pressing national issues. And Bharat Jodo Yatra is what Jairam Ramesh has said. Essentially, he's saying the Prime Minister and the current political dispensation has failed to acknowledge continuity in governance, saying that this is a process that initially started earlier, way back, even before the BJP came to power. He's talking about his visit to Cape Town in the year 2010. In fact, he's also put out that photograph that you see on your screens right now. This is his visit to Cape Town in the year 2010. Gaurav Bhatia of the BJP is with us. Gaurav Bhatia, your response to what Congress's Jairam Ramesh has said. He's making a point, and please comment on that point that he's making, that continuity in governance is not acknowledged by the current political dispensation. Is that so?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Bhatia, go ahead.
Nobody takes the Congress seriously now, and the reason is very clear. They like to criticize, condemn every action of the government. And when the nation celebrates, whether it is bringing of the cheetah or historic steps like INS Vikrant's induction, one rank, one pension, GST, Article 370 abrogation, the naysayers are always the Congress party leaders. And I must tell them that at least play a role of a constructive opposition and don't criticize for the sake of criticizing. It doesn't augur well for the Congress, and it also shows you in very poor light.
But he's also trying to make a point that this isn't something that just started after the BJP came to power. It was initially initiated, in fact, by the Congress government. So you can't deny that, is what he's saying.
To him, I would just like to say it's very easy to dream. It's very easy to have an idea. But to implement it so that it fructifies, that it is seen on ground, is something that requires perseverance, sincerity of implementation, and that is the difference between the BJP and the Congress.
Okay, sincerity of implementation. Get things moving is what the BJP has done, is what the BJP says. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, I'm thanking you for the moment. Now, that is what Jairam Ramesh has said. This is a tamasha orchestrated by the Prime Minister. It's unwarranted. So it's a credit war that we see erupting over the return of the cheetahs. Who's responsible? Whether this was a move by the previous UPA administration, or was it because the NDA government led by the BJP took things into their own hands and got this project moving? But the fact is that 8 cheetahs are back to India. They're not Asiatic cheetahs, they're African cheetahs. And remains to be seen how well they adjust in India. They're at the Kuno National Park. They've just been released. For the moment, they're going to be at the 10-kilometer enclosure for a month at least. Their movement is going to be monitored, as is the case with all big cats in India, where a radio collar is used to monitor their movements, given the manner in which they are at risk of survival. The Congress has gone on to say, why this tamasha when we also were putting our weight behind this project? I went to Cape Town in the month of April 2010 is what Jairam Ramesh has said. And we initiated this project. Why not acknowledge continuity in governance? Yes, you did it, but we started it, is what the Congress is saying. There has to be acknowledgement in continuity in governance, is what the Congress has said today. Asking why the efforts of the previous administration is not acknowledged. Prime Minister hardly ever acknowledges continuity in governance. Cheetah project is going back to my visit to Cape Town in April 2010. It's the latest example. The tamasha orchestrated by the Prime Minister today is unwarranted and is yet another diversion from pressing national issues in Bharat Jodo Yatra. So he's also gone on to say that when tigers were first translocated to Panna and Sariska during the year 2009 and 11, there were many prophets of doom. They were proven wrong. P.V. Srinivas of the Congress party is now joining us. Mr. Srinivas, the fact is that the BJP has gone on to say that this is a case of the Congress just, crying foul because nobody is acknowledging them even as a principal opposition party. The Congress has got nothing better to do, is the response of the BJP on what Mr. Jairam Ramesh has said. What's your take?
देखिए, ये आज भी क्लियर साफ साफ दिख रहा है, इस देश का युवा सबसे ज्यादा बेरोजगार होकर इस रास्ते पे घूम रहे हैं, सड़क पे घूम रहे हैं, डिग्री लेके उनको नौकरी का दिलाने का इधर तमाम सिटिंग इंडिया, स्टैंडिंग इंडिया, स्लीपिंग इंडिया, तमाम इंडिया फेल हो चुका है। उसको छोड़ के एक इवेंट बनाना है, हर चीज में एक इवेंट हुआ, चीता जाके छोड़ना वो भी एक इवेंट, फोटो खिंचाने का काम करना है। अरे देश का असली मुद्दे पे आप बात नहीं क्यों कर रहे हैं? जो सबसे ज्यादा कमर तोड़ महंगाई है, लोग कैसे महिला रसोई में आंसू से हाथ धो रहा है, उसके ऊपर इन लोग ने कभी ना बात करता है ना चर्चा करता है। जो किस लेवल पे कहीं भी कुछ भी जो असली मुद्दे पे बात करो ना, इस देश में सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत क्या है इस समय में, उसके ऊपर इनको कोई नहीं है। कोरोना को भी एक इवेंट बना दो, चीता जोड़ने को एक इवेंट बना दो, बाद में कांग्रेस के ऊपर एलिगेशन लगा दो। ये इनका एक ये बना के रखा है, हर चीज में इनको कांग्रेस है। भाई जनता ने आपको मौका दिया, 8 साल हुआ है।
क्या आप ये बोलना चाहते हैं बीवी श्रीनिवास की ये जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो कांग्रेस ने इनिशिएट किया था? क्या आपका ये कहने का मतलब है?
ना, इन लोग ने, ये सरकार ने क्या कर रहा है, मैं कह रहा हूँ, जो असली मुद्दा है वो मुद्दे पे कभी बात ही नहीं करेंगे। इवेंट मैनेजमेंट करना है, फोटो शूट करो। देश में सबसे ज्यादा युवा डिप्रेशन पे जा रहा है, जो नौकरी नहीं है उसके ऊपर क्यों बात नहीं कर रहा है? उसके ऊपर चर्चा करने इनके ये बोले थे सिटिंग इंडिया, स्टैंडिंग इंडिया, कहाँ गए ये सारे? स्टैंडिंग, सिटिंग, स्लीपिंग किधर गया? उसके ऊपर मुद्दे पे बात नहीं। हर चीज में कांग्रेस को लेके इन लोग ने बात करने के अलावा एक चीज तो बताया, खुद क्या किया? इवेंट मैनेजमेंट छोड़ के देश के लिए ऐसे चीज इन लोग ने दिया है, बता तो सही देश को।
ठीक है बीवी श्रीनिवास जी,
बोलने के लिए इनके पास कुछ नहीं है
जी।
They don't have anything. They only give the promises, jimlas. That's it.
Okay, B.V. Srinivas, I'm thanking you for the moment. So you heard from the BJP and you heard from the Congress as well. The Congress says this is nothing but event management. What has the government done for the people is the question the Congress is asking. Cheetahs finally returned to India after 70 years. The Prime Minister released 5 female cheetahs, 3 male cheetahs in Madhya Pradesh's Kuno National Park. He's released the cheetahs into the enclosure. The wildcats will remain at the enclosure, which is 10 kilometers wide. The Prime Minister has hailed the historic moment, but hit out to the UPA for not repopulating the cheetahs. The 8 cheetahs have been brought to India from Namibia on the Prime Minister's 72nd birthday. The big cats travelled over 8,000 kilometers in Boeing 747-400 aircraft and then were taken to the National Park on Air Force choppers. Pooja Shali continues to be with us for more on that story. Pooja, right now you're at the Kuno National Park. Give us a sense of the mood at the Kuno National Park there, given that It's a big day today, and you rightly mentioned a few moments ago that the world is watching. This is no ordinary feat, isn't it?
Well, the celebrations of Dol Dhamaka, a cheer went up in the air for the local villagers when Prime Minister Narendra Modi released the cheetahs into the wild, so to say. Right now, these are enclosures. It's called a boma, where they will be tracked. These are not cages. They can move around. They'll be able to access and prey on the deers and other animals present there. So there will be time of the next 1 month that they will be tracked. But the celebrations are over today itself. The test begins today itself. The test will be to ensure that these cheetahs survive and thrive. But what a historic moment we are looking at today. You know, in 1947, a ruler in modern-day Chhattisgarh had killed 3 offsprings of the cheetahs, unknown to him that these are vulnerable, and perhaps it's the last that we see. By 1952, India had to officially declare that cheetahs, the fastest running mammal on earth, once in vast numbers in the Indian subcontinent, are no more. Then in 1972, the project began, contacting Iran, which has 50 Asiatic cheetahs. It did not come through. 2009, the UPA government, Minister Jairam Ramesh goes to Africa at an outreach center of the cheetahs. The project is conceived but does not come through. The court then gives a clearance finally in 2020, and the Modi government jumps into action, signs a memorandum, and within months from Namibia, tracking a 10-hour-long journey, 8 cheetahs have arrived. And of course, if you can hear even the drums and dole and dhamaka still for the villagers behind me. As you can see, these are curious onlookers that have been standing here because nobody is being permitted inside the national park right now. But they want to celebrate this moment. But the celebration, remember, for them is also about themselves. In an extremely backward area that it is of here of the Shiopur district. They don't have jobs. There's no proper livelihood. They primarily depend on agriculture. There's no much development here. Sneha, I have seen pigs roaming around on the roads here. The cattle is on the streets. So it's definitely a very backward area. The villagers have been relocated from inside the park to nearby areas. It's the government's responsibility now to ensure that they get the best. So if we're looking at the Kuno National Park becoming a global destination, a test also what it means for wildlife conservation. Though experts are looking at it, the governments of the world will be looking at it, but also the local villagers. Eventually, it is the man who has to survive with the animal, and if both get perhaps an atmosphere around them of survival, of benefiting, that will be the true success of this project, and that can only come years later, and that will be the test of successive government. So a historic moment, and I am very honored to have been at least documenting it, witnessing it here, but we will all be looking forward of how this pans out. The first has happened. Many more cheetahs are likely to come over the next few years. Sneha.
Yes, Pooja, I'm going to come back to you in a few moments from now, but I can just tell you that the sound of dhol really isn't going to be music to the ears of cheetahs. Remember, these are animals that have had a journey of 8,000 kilometers. It can be a distressful situation, and that dhol, that dhol and that dholak really doesn't help there. Coming back to you, Pooja, in a moment from now. Meanwhile, a quick breakdown of what the return of cheetahs in India is actually going to look like. My colleague Shiv filed this report.
These 8 cheetahs are being flown in on that specially kitted out aircraft from Namibia all the way to India. It's a 10-hour flight from Windhoek, which is the capital of Namibia. The aircraft will land in Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh. This translocation is being carried out in a specially modified Boeing 747. That's the aircraft with the tiger painted on the front. It's a chartered flight. They will be flown from Gwalior then to Palpur, which is quite nearby. And then from Palpur, they will be flown in an Indian Air Force Chinook helicopter, or a couple of helicopters from 5 helipads that are built at Palpur. From there, they will be transported to the Kuno.
70 years after they went extinct in the country, cheetahs are now going to be walking again on the Indian lands. India is all set to welcome 8 cheetahs on the 17th of September. When the big cats will be brought in from Namibia. They've already arrived. They are at the Kuno National Park, and they're now going to be staying in a 10-kilometer wide enclosure. Take a look at this report.
They're the fastest living land animals, and they're about to have a possible new dawn. Eight African cheetahs 5 female and 3 male from Namibia will have a new home in India. They're part of a first-of-its-kind transcontinental mission to repopulate them in India. Cheetahs became extinct in India in 1952. 7 decades later, they're coming to India in a customized Boeing 747 aircraft from Namibia's capital, Windhoek. The aircraft bringing the cheetahs to India has been modified to allow cages to be secured in the main cabin. It will allow vets to have full access to the cats during the 10-hour-long flight.
We discussed together how to do it, and we decided to remove all the seats and do a special modification for this particular flight.
The aircraft is an ultra-long-range jet capable of flying for up to 16 hours without stopping to refuel. This will allow it to fly directly from Namibia to India.
This is the same plane which will take 8 cheetahs from Namibia to all the way to Jaipur and then to Kuno National Park.
It is a very important consideration for the well-being of these carnivorous cats who would be traveling empty stomach.
These cheetahs are all wild caught, they're not captive bred. So we have successful experience of tiger reintroduction. There is no issue with these animals which have been identified for translocation, and the introduction program will be a successful program.
The 8 cheetahs, ranging from 4 to 6 years of age, are expected to undergo stress, lose weight, and possibly get disoriented during the translocation across such a large distance. That could also reduce their fitness for the wild. After they're released at Kuno National Park on the 17th of September, they will be kept in the Boman, an African word for a specially designed enclosure, for a whole month. In the Boma, carefully arranged prime cuts of small game of cheetahs has been introduced for these prime feline guests to hunt without competition for starters. This is expected to restore some of their spirit. After a month of acclimatization on a whole new continent, the radio-collared cheetahs will be moved to a bigger enclosure before being released into the wild in another couple of months.
This project is not something that is going to just be over as soon as we bring the cats there. It's a very, very long-term project. We're looking at probably not seeing results for 5 to 10 years. So it is very, very long, and just because we're bringing them there now, our work is just beginning.
75 साल से चीता लगभग विलुप्त हो गया था। पूरे एशिया महाद्वीप में कहीं भी चीता नहीं है। कूनो सेंचुरी में चीते का आना इस क्षेत्र की अर्थव्यवस्था को भी बल प्रदान करेगा, टूरिज्म को भी बढ़ाएगा और रोजगार के अवसर भी खड़े होंगे।
This is the first batch. India is about to sign a memorandum of understanding with South Africa, and a batch of 12 cheetahs are being prepared for translocation in October. With Ashutosh Mishra and Pooja Shali in Kuno National Park, Madhya Pradesh. Bureau Report, India Today.
It's now to stand why Madhya Pradesh's Kuno National Park has been chosen for the cheetahs.
It's very, very important. It's because it's free of human habitation. The Kuno National Park is famous because it's highly uninhabited. There are only animals there, very, very free from human habitation. It's an adequate base for prey. There's a lot of wild animals there which will be potential prey for the cheetahs. It offers a forest and grassland mosaic according to experts. It's not just forest but also long stretches of plain grassland, which is the preferred kind of terrain where cheetahs actually operate and live in. It has major tree species like Salai, Kardai, Kher and Tendu in that particular area. All of those make it a pretty biodiverse place, and the climatic conditions are tropical and temperate at the same time, and therefore could suit the cheetahs being translocated there.
Well, the cheetah relocation project is likely to face many challenges. The big cats are good at speed but are not good in conflicts. One of the greatest challenges to survival is the loss of habitat together with loss of prey base. Here's a detailed report.
Vulnerable and critically endangered.
The world's fastest land mammal is set to arrive at the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. But the relocation from Namibia in southern Africa to India, where they became extinct 70 years ago, is fraught with challenge. Experts involved in the project agree the reintroduction of the large carnivore to its natural habitat is a longer-term effort.
Possibly could have. And once the cats arrive, they will go into holding bomas that are there in Kuno, which will also be where they'll be staying for the next month during their quarantine there in India as well.
Sleek, meant for speed as high as 74 miles an hour, ducking and diving like an athlete, cheetahs are delicate animals though. Animals which avoid conflict. They may have confronted lions and leopards back in Namibia, but in Kuno, the guests won't be welcomed graciously by competing predators. Like wolves, striped hyenas, and sloth bears, not to mention the resident leopards in the Indian habitat, which can very well chase away cheetahs or worse, make a meal of them. And don't forget the tigers ranging in from Ranthambore, just 80 odd miles away. Dietary shift poses another challenge. In Namibia, the cats would go for the small game, bringing them palas on their banquet table. Not a risk-free venture for them in Kuno that offers bigger praise in the buffet, and that explains why the cheetahs will be radio-collared in their new homes.
They are satellite collars and VHF, and so the collars actually have batteries in them that allow them to actually be tracked by a satellite, and so we'll be able to follow where they are at all.
Cheetahs are highly adaptable. They have survived and thrived in deserts, grasslands, and mountains in southern Africa. International experts extending all assistance they can to the rangers on the ground in Kuno to help the cats adapt.
These cheetahs would much prefer to have wild game than they would to have livestock. And so a lot of it is just for them to adapt to their new area, different sights, different sounds, and find their way around. And that's something that we will be assisting them with the researchers and the rangers on the ground to monitor them very, very closely for the country and for the people around Kuno.
A major experiment in cheetah conservation, a project whose success relies heavily on space, prey, and less human interference in their new home. With Ashutosh Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, details of that report and much more going up on our website. That's indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. News continues on the other side. Thanks for watching.
इंडिया टुडे मीडिया इंस्टीट्यूट आपको दे रहा है मौका देश के नंबर 1 न्यूज चैनल के साथ पत्रकारिता के गुर सीखने का।
रजिस्टर करने के लिए www.indiatodayMediaInstitute.in पर विजिट करें।
Artificial intelligence, or AI, is the science of programming machines or computers to reproduce human processes like learning and decision making. Recent technological advances, for example, intelligent algorithms which decide autonomously what actions to take to achieve their objective, have seen AI take great strides forward, creeping steadily into our daily lives. Smartphones are getting smarter, cyber assistants can find information in the blink of an eye, and autonomous vehicles could soon increase road safety, potentially eliminating the risk of human error. AI offers the promise of a highly efficient world in which robots take care of our sick, stock our fridges, plan our holidays, and do hazardous jobs humans should not or will not do. Game playing is a crucial measure of AI progress, proving that a machine can execute certain intellectual tasks better than humans. Computer mastery of chess and more recently Go, the ultimate board game, have been hailed as moments in humanity's quest to create smart machines. In medicine, software can already diagnose illnesses including some cancers as efficiently as a real doctor. But the issue of how to adapt workforces to cope with this fourth industrial revolution has economists and policymakers scratching their heads. Millions of jobs could be threatened as robots become capable of nearly everything humans do. There are concerns that if left unchecked, the development of superintelligence could pose a threat to humanity, with computers outsmarting and outmanipulating humans.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
It's been 2 years since India passed the controversial Citizenship Amendment Act. The much debated act fast-tracks citizenship of Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi and Christian immigrants from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh who arrived into India before 2015. However, the centre is yet to frame rules for it. Without the rules being framed, the act cannot be implemented. But interestingly, data from the past 5 years shows that 87% of the applicants who have received Indian citizenship are from Pakistan, and an astounding number of 6 lakh Indians have given up their citizenship in these last 5 years. India's brain drain. On an average, 1,21,632 people have given up Indian citizenship every year, but only an average of 1,044 people took Indian citizenship in the last 5 years. This means total intake is only about 1% of the total brain drain. The top preference for Indians is USA citizenship. At a small level, reverse migration is also taking place. Only 71 American citizens opted to take Indian citizenship in the last 5 years. In contrast, the top 3 countries whose residents got Indian citizenship are Pakistan, which is 87%, Afghanistan, 8%, and Bangladesh, 2%. Why are Indians giving up their citizenship? According to the Global Wealth Migration Review, 2% of India's millionaires have already flocked overseas in 2020. Firstly, India does not offer dual citizenship, so people seeking to be citizens of other countries have to renounce their Indian citizenship. A high number of Indians seek citizenship in other countries in return for monetary investments. Countries like Portugal run a golden visa program, citizenship by investment or residency by investment. Another reason is also India's poor passport score. The Indian passport is currently ranked 85th, offering visa on arrival to just 58 destinations. The higher the passport index ranking, the better access to travel visa-free to many countries. Indians have also been leaving the country because of job opportunities with better pay and better work hours. Also in the United States and United Kingdom, for instance, professionals in healthcare, science, technology, engineering and math fields are currently in high demand.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Hello and welcome to this very special broadcast. Today we have a very special guest joining us. He is considered to be a master political strategist, almost a sharpshooter for the Bharatiya Janata Party. He operates under the radar. He will not admit to much, but the fact is his opponents are always worried about him lurking somewhere in their vicinity and possibly if he's going to pull off a coup. Joining me today is Assam Chief Minister Mr. Himanta Biswa. So thank you so much for joining us. My first question to you is about all of this. Your opponents always talk about Himanta Biswa Sharma जोड़ तोड़ की राजनीति में बिलीव करते हैं, वो कहीं झारखंड में है, कभी गोवा में है, वही ये सब करवा रहे हैं.
देखिए, I don't agree to all this conclusion. If you want to do politics, you have to do politics with the blessings of people. कभी ना कहीं आपको चुनाव ही तो लड़ना पड़ेगा. You have to fight election. You have to go back to the people. So all these are transitional. Ultimately, people are your master. You have to go back to people. कोई जोड़ तोड़ का देश में राजनीति नहीं होता है. देश में in democracy it is always by the people.
Okay, but in Goa, the Congress alleged that it was Himanta Biswa Sharma who in fact engineered the defection of 8 Congress MLAs from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Today the Congress Legislative Party has been wiped out in Goa. They've merged with the BJP and you were behind it.
I think, I don't know why Congress keep on alleging about my role. I have never visited Goa. I think my last visit was in the time of vote-taking ceremony of Pramod Sawantji. But I never visited Goa politically. Or neither I know any of them much people, 1 or 2 people I know.
Who are these 1 or 2 people?
I know generally when you are in the party for 22 years, definitely you will know 2-3 people in every state. So that much.
Okay, so you don't know Digambar Kamath, you don't know Michael Lobo. These are leaders you've not heard of before?
I'll not say I do not know. But involving me in Goa is not proper.
So you're denying any role in what happened as far as the Goa Congress is concerned?
I completely deny.
There was some allegation कि 30-30 crore दिए गए हैं.
I think I do not know how Congress can level allegation against a person or against any individual who till other day was in the party. People to रात में ही corrupt नहीं बनता है. अगर you know that he will take 30 crores from somebody, then why that person was nourished and flourished in your party? If you are a corrupt, you will not become corrupt overnight. That means he is corrupt from beginning. So you should have sent the person long back from your party.
So you're saying Congress is falling apart on its own and you have, the BJP has no role to play.
Congress does wrong to the people because if you have a case against any individual, that case exists when you are in Congress party. On the day a guy joined BJP, that day you expose the person that he had a case. But what about when that guy is with you, was with you? That point of time also that case existed. Why not you expel that guy from your party at that point of time? How you discover his bad virtue only on the day when he joined BJP?
Okay.
So if he is a bad, he must be bad from very beginning. Then why you have given him ticket for MLA? Why you have given ticket for MP? That means you are a washing machine. As long as the person is in Congress, you will keep on watching his sin.
Okay. What about Jharkhand? When 3 Congress MLAs were caught with cash in Howrah in Bengal, the allegation and an FIR was lodged naming you in Jharkhand by Mr. Avinash Pandey that Himanta Biswa Sharma again was engineering defection.
That FIR I'll tell you. One MLA has lodged an FIR saying that 3 MLA has told me that I'll take you to the Assam to meet Himanta Biswa Sharma. That the fact remains, the person who has given that allegation is known to me from very beginning. 2 days back, he was with me in Delhi.
Okay.
And along with me, he had dinner, he had breakfast. We went to 2-3 places for his work because I had a little bit of close relation. That thing is known to Jharkhand. So why that 3 MLA will say that I'll take you to meet Himanta Biswa Sharma when they all know that that guy is already with Himanta Biswa Sharma for last 3 days.
Okay.
So that FIR is one of the most, I'll say that most non-serious FIR. So if you want to catch that 3 MLA for having some money, you should have a better and serious FIR against them.
Okay. So you're saying again, in Jharkhand, Himanta Biswa Sharma or the BJP has no role to play whatsoever to bring down
I think if
the Hemant Soren government.
If a chief minister give lease of certain property of the state government for in his own name, how can you blame BJP?
But they're also doubting the fact that the ECI's recommendation to the Jharkhand governor hasn't been made public yet.
I do not know, but only question I'll ask you. You have allotted a stone quarry in your own name. Is it you? Have you done it because BJP has said you to do that? So you make mistake knowingly or unknowingly, then you put blame on BJP. I mean, even a Sahil will say, अरे बाबा तुमको बीजेपी बताया था क्या ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट तुम्हारा अपना नाम में लेने के लिए?
Okay.
Then you make the drama, conspiracy is going on. You did it by yourself. It is your karma.
Okay, so as far as Maharashtra is concerned, again, no role to play. Eknath Shinde faction decided they are very unhappy.
Maharashtra, you know that they have come to Assam, they stayed Assam, they paid hotel bill. We provided them whatever security they are entitled. On their coming, on the day they went back to Maharashtra, they even given a check of rupees 50 lakhs to Assam Chief Minister Relief Fund. So that's fine. I invite you also to visit Assam.
I have visited, beautiful state, no doubt about it, but so you are dodging the question because your name seems to somehow emerge every time Jharkhand is spoken
I'll
about.
not blame anybody if somebody goes to Assam, stay Assam, and then there is a change of government. Obviously, some people will say, no, CM knew it or CM is involved in it. That's a general trend. But we are of very small state called Assam. Assam cannot control Maharashtra politics or we cannot influence Maharashtra politics. I think that is the fundamental. Maharashtra is a much, much bigger state than Assam.
No, but it's about you. It's not about Assam. It's not about the Assam Chief Minister. It's Himanta Biswa Sharma.
You tell me, I mean, Maharashtra ka jo rajniti hai, mera to, I did not knew anybody, 5-6 people I'll know. But that change of that political situation of that state cannot be done by a small individual like me. If something happened in Northeast, you can tell that you have some role. But Maharashtra, UP, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, where from I'll come?
Okay. Now, speaking of your erstwhile party, Congress party, they are on their Bharat Jodo Yatra at the moment. You, of course, were on TV saying the Congress party, if they want to jodo anything, they should go to Pakistan. This is what kind of a Bharat Jodo Yatra this is? India doesn't need any kind of jodoing.
I think they are insulting people of Kerala, they are insulting people of Tamil Nadu, they are insulting people of Karnataka, whatever road they have fixed. Because they are already integral part of India. So, if you go there and say Bharat Jodo, the people will say, हमने कभी तोड़ने का बात कब किया था? When we said that India should not be united. We are with India. We are Indian rather.
They are talking about society. They are alleging BJP is dividing society.
तो समाज जोड़ो कार्यक्रम ले लो.
भारत जोड़ो सही नहीं है.
भारत जोड़ो कैसे हो सकता है? भारत तो जोड़ा हुआ है. भारत का कोई anybody has said that will not be with India. If you have some problem with society, then name it समाज जोड़ो. Why भारत जोड़ो? तो भारत को जोड़ने का काम अगर है, if you think, I am not saying, but if you feel that भारत को जोड़ना है, then do the things what your grandfather has done and reverse that. If you want to do that. बाकी आप क्यों अगर असम में कोई आके बोलता है कि असम को भारत से जोड़ो, definitely I will put question, Rahul ji, when we said that we will not be with India.
Rahul ji seems to be like this common factor whenever you talk about the Congress party. So it's not so much of your angst against the Congress party, it's Rahul Gandhi that you have a problem with.
Definitely. The problem is with the way a family is running a historical movement. It is all about the way that a family has captured the organization. where Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was there, Subhash Chandra Bose was there. How that party has been appropriated by one family. Original Gandhi was Mahatma Gandhi. But now nobody wants, you talk about Gandhi family, nobody talks Mahatma Gandhi, Tushar Gandhi, Rajmohan Gandhi. They talk about Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi.
But you know, the allegation also is that it's always personal attacks. Because you find Rahul Gandhi to be some sort of a soft target, so it's always personal.
But do you think that it can be a personal attack? When you are attacking a particular political culture, you are targeting a family rule party. How can that be? This is a bigger political question because this is not confined to Congress. In Indian political system, there are many states where a party is actually captured or ruled by a family and most of the decisions are taken in dining table. So this is a political culture against whom you are speaking. When you go to UP, you do not talk about Gandhi, you speak about Yadav culture, the Mulayam Singh Yadav family. When you go to Bihar, you talk about Lalu Yadav family. When you go to Tamil Nadu, you talk about DMK, Karunanidhi Stalin. So I don't think that we are against a particular family, we are against family culture in Indian politics.
But the thing also is, you know, what stands out is the fact that when you, who's left the party, or when Ghulam Nabi Azad, who's left the party again, they speak about what bothered them about the Congress party. They speak specifically about Rahul Gandhi and his style of functioning. You work with Sonia Gandhi, he's worked with Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. The criticism is not directed at her.
I mean, you see, your day-to-day reporting is now with the Rahul Gandhi because you are no longer reporting to Sonia Gandhi. So whatever your grievances you must have raised before him, and when he gave cold shoulder, when you come outside, you have to tell the fact. You cannot hide anything from the people. You have to tell the fact as it is. How can you talk about some other member of the family when you're dealing with another member of the family? But in my view, when we speak about Gandhi, we talk about bigger family culture or taking decision in dining table. We do not talk about individual.
But then it's also said within the Congress circles about defectors like yourself that this is all about opportunism. How can people who followed a particular ideology for as long as they did suddenly make a 180-degree sort of switch and go the other ideological way?
I mean, first of all, what is your ideology? Ideology is the India first. Whenever you are in Congress, whenever you are in BJP, भारत का कल्याण हो, लोगों का कल्याण है, वही तो आपका आइडियोलॉजी है. तो when you are changing that ideology, जैसे लोग एक कंपनी से दूसरा कंपनी आते हैं, when they see that there is a bigger opportunity. We have come from Congress to BJP because we have seen a bigger opportunity of serving people under the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But ideology remains same.
Okay.
Where you change the ideology? Ideology hai India first. So that ideology when you change.
In 2024, who does the BJP see as its opponent standing in front of it? The bigger challenge?
I think
the biggest challenge.
In a serious note, BJP will not have any challenger in many states. That challenger will be your own tally of 2019. You have to see that, okay, 2019 you own 9, now you have to own 10. So you are fighting with yourself in the national scenario. However, there will be 6-7 states where you will fight with various regional formation that you know.
Will it be the Aam Aadmi Party ruling in 2 states now?
I mean, obviously where they are ruling in 2 states, you will fight with them. But I think that party is limited to 2 states, then you will fight TMC.
What makes you think it can't grow? It is making inroads in other states as well. You yourself have engaged in a Twitter spat, putting them at a level.
No. When they will grow, we'll see. But we do not know, we don't have any evidence that they have grown. But in Bengal, you will fight with TMC. In Tamil Nadu, you will fight with DMK. Why you will fight with AAP in Tamil Nadu? Why you will fight with Orissa instead of BJD? Why you will fight with AAP? So whoever is strong in that state, we are going to fight against that political party. It is very simple.
How do you see TMC?
What I am saying, that TMC is ruling Bengal. So your opponent will be TMC there. Your opponent will not be Congress. When you go to Tamil Nadu, your opponent will be DMK. When you come to Delhi or Punjab, your opponent will be AAP. It is as simple as that.
Speaking of TMC, one question that everyone was asking about was that one photograph from Darjeeling which emerged from the Raj Bhavan there of Jagdeep Dhankar, then Governor, Miss Mamata Banerjee, I beg your pardon, and Himanta Biswa. What happened?
No, you see, apart from politics, you must remember that you are also a chief minister. So Assam and Bengal chief minister need to meet occasionally, and you need to discuss things because you have lot of common issue. Today, whatever jihadi you have captured, Bengal STF also you have allowed to interrogate. When Bengal STF arrests somebody, they allowed Assam police to interrogate. So government to government level cooperation with Bengal is very, very important. So I do not subscribe to any political notion of my meeting with Bengal chief minister.
Did she extend her support for Jagdeep Dhankar for the vice president elections there?
I mean, you
TMC
all know,
very surprisingly abstained from the elections.
You all know they have abstained. Now, why they have abstained, it is for them to clarify. As far as my view is concerned, that we should keep on meeting at least every 6 months or in a year. Both Assam and Bengal CM should meet in that interval.
Okay, just my final question to you, because it's something that just happened in the news right now, and you're of course talking about, you know, the BJP and the player that it has become under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. Today, of course, there was that photograph from the SCO summit of the group of 8 as they stood. Prime Minister Modi stood at one end, the Pakistani premier at one end, and then of course there were the other leaders. Now, the Congress Gaurav Gogoi, who of course hails from your state as well, took a pot shot at that photograph saying MEA has done a bad job, PMO did a bad job, Modi has been relegated to a corner.
I'll only say that much, that some people has a habit of making comment. Now, in that gathering where head of the states are there, so is it not the host state who will decide? Either some alphabetically or some height-wise or some, they will have their own criteria. So, will you going to put question on that also? You ask question what Modi ji has said, what Modi ji is going to speak. So today, you are asking me that you are only asking about Gandhi. So today, see about the Congress party. They are also going to ask not what Indian Prime Minister has spoken, where Indian Prime Minister was there in the photograph.
One final question. Who do you see as Congress President? Any person that you see, or do you think it's going to be a member of the family?
I don't think there should be a Congress president. This party should now
break up.
There is no relevance. Why there should be president? It should wind up.
Congress has lost its relevance.
I don't think that after that generation is over, Sardar Patel, Mahatma Gandhi, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, then why now Congress should exist?
Okay. Himanta Biswa, thank you so much for joining us.
We have never been in a better position to end the pandemic.
The end of COVID-19 is in sight. This is what the WHO chief said. But I want to draw a parallel here and say it's also been reported that a new COVID variant is in sight. Both reports come on the same day. So what should you do? Be carefree or be careful? Let's dive deeper and break this down for you. The WHO, the World Health Organization, said the world has never been in a better position to end the COVID-19 pandemic. As per the WHO, the number of deaths reported in the first week of September were lowest since March 2020. But the optimistic future set out by the WHO was followed with a clear warning. In his speech, the WHO chief, Tedros Adhanom, said,
We can see the finish line. We are in a winning position. But now is the worst time to stop running. Now is the time to run harder and make sure we cross the line and reap the rewards of all our hard work.
He said that if the world doesn't run harder and take this chance to end the COVID-19 pandemic, new variants will emerge, more deaths will be reported, and we run the risk of heading towards more uncertainties. The WHO has recommended essentially some key actions that you and I must follow. This includes vaccinating all the at-risk groups, particularly healthcare workers and senior citizens, continued testing, and planning ahead for any uncertain variant outbreaks. A new variant named Omicron BA.4.6 has emerged. It's not clear how this variant really emerged or where. This could also be a recombinant virus. The UK, the United States and several other countries have identified this new variant. In the UK, 3.3% of the samples have been tested positive for this variant. In the United States, BA.4.6 accounts for more than 9% of the recent cases. This variant is a descendant of Omicron BA.4. Omicron BA.4 was detected in Africa earlier this year. Since then, it spread across the world, with more emerging variants also, unfortunately. But there are no reports that this variant is causing more severe symptoms. You, however, must be vigilant and cautious of this new variant and keep, of course, following the necessary precautions to keep yourself safe from COVID-19. Don't take anything for granted.
Watching India Today.
Hello and welcome. I'm Pooja Shali and I bring you this special telecast from the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. It was a historic day today because Prime Minister Narendra Modi released 8 African cheetahs into this national park. It's just a beginning of an era. Will we have the cheetahs survive, thrive and become a new home? This, remember, for vulnerable species that had gone extinct in India in 1952. So this gate leads in to the national park, and of course it's now going to become a global destination. It's going to be a test with their health checkup, status of their movement and how the climate and the prey base suits them. I'm going to take you through all the latest and all that happened since today morning from Namibia to India, this special telecast ending at Kuno National Park. Let's begin first with the headlines. Eight cheetahs getting a new home in Madhya Pradesh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi releasing 8 African cheetahs in the Kuno National Park in Shiopur district of Madhya Pradesh. But Politics already has escalated over the homecoming of the cheetahs. The Congress is calling the release of these animals by Prime Minister a tamasha. Prime Minister takes a jibe at the Congress party, saying no effort were made since 1950s to repopulate the cheetahs. In the national capital, Delhi police recovers a diary after raiding Aam Aadmi Party MLA Amanatullah Khan Anti-Corruption Bureau to investigate the transaction-related entries in the diary. Aam Aadmi Party MLA has been taken into arrest by Delhi cops in a corruption case. Home Minister Amit Shah slams appeasement politics as India celebrates Hyderabad Liberation Day, pays homage to the brave hearts at the city's parade ground. Cheetahs in India from today here on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi released 5 female, 3 male cheetahs into the Kuno National Park. For the next 1 month, they are going to be tracked. They are radio-collared animals. So the fastest living mammal on earth with 120 km/h speed finally will be able to find its home and run around in the 750 square kilometers national park. But I can also tell you, because Prime Minister releasing the cheetahs are the wildcats that remain at the enclosure, though, the boma that has been prepared for them, which is 10 kilometers wide. For the next 1 month, they are going to be checked with their health status and movement. Prime Minister hailed the historic movement but also slammed the UPA government previously for not repopulating the cheetahs since 1952. These 8 cheetahs, African cheetahs, have been brought in from Namibia on Prime Minister Modi's 72nd birthday. The big cats traveling over 8,000 kilometers, a 10-hour-long journey in the Boeing 747-400 aircraft. It's a specifically a customized aircraft for the cheetahs, and then were taken to the national park by the Indian Air Force aircraft. Listen in now to what Prime Minister Modi said as he celebrated his birthday in Madhya Pradesh.
दशकों पहले जैव विविधता की सदियों पुरानी जो कड़ी टूट गई थी, विलुप्त हो गई थी, आज हमें उसे फिर से जोड़ने का मौका मिला है। आज भारत की धरती पर चीता लौट आए हैं। मैं हमारे मित्र देश नामीबिया और वहां की सरकार का भी धन्यवाद करता हूं, जिनके सहयोग से दशकों बाद चीते भारत की धरती पर वापस लौटे हैं।
But the cheetah's reintroduction into India has also led to massive political face-off as Prime Minister Modi started to speak after releasing the 8 African cheetahs into the Kuno National Park. The politics that erupted was because primarily the Congress Member of Parliament, Jairam Ramesh, slammed Prime Minister Modi, calling the release of these cheetahs a tamasha. He said the project Cheetah returns at a time when he also visited Cape Town in 2010. Congress leaders are saying that the release of cheetahs are a bid to divert attention from party's Bharat Jodo Yatra. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while hailing the historic moment, targeted the Congress party specifically for not doing anything by the previous governments to repopulate the vulnerable big cats since their official extinction in 1952. A group of 8 big cats arrived from Namibia on the occasion of Prime Minister Modi's birthday today, but they will undergo a month-long quarantine before they are released into the national park in Madhya Pradesh here and in the central area, India, which connects several other national parks and sanctuaries.
पिछली सदियों में हमने वो समय भी देखा है जब प्रकृति के दोहन को शक्ति प्रदर्शन और आधुनिकता का प्रतीक मान लिया गया था। 1947 में जब देश में केवल आखिरी 3 चीते बचे थे, तो उनका भी साल के जंगलों में निष्ठुरता व गैर जिम्मेदारी से शिकार कर लिया गया।
So massive politics has engulfed over this situation. I'm joined right now on the phone line with Nasir Hussain. He's a senior Congress leader. So why are you attacking the Prime Minister here? Because Prime Minister said that for all these years, there was no initiative that was taken in the manner in which it could lead to a conclusion and repopulate the cheetahs. Why has the Congress called this a tamasha today?
No, my answer to your viewer and to your question is that the Prime Minister is lying on national television channel. The Prime Minister says that nobody has taken an initiative from 1947 till now. We have already released the photographs of Mr. Jairam Ramesh as an environment minister who was in Cape Town in 2010. And also Mr. Monsoon, the then Prime Minister, has given a green signal for the Cheetah project. It was initiated by the UPA government. This habit of the Prime Minister and the Bharatiya Janata Party of lying to the people of the country by saying that nothing happened since 1970, nothing happens in the last 70 years from 1947, and whatever is happening in this country is only post-2014, is something which the Prime Minister of the country should not be doing. He is not only just lying, he is misleading the people of this country. We want to put the record straight in public domain that the Prime Minister is lying, and the Congress government, that is the UPA government led by Mr. Monsoon Singh and the Minister Jairam Ramesh, had taken an initiative in the Cheetah project. The Minister had gone to Cape Town. He had taken the initiative, and it was also cleared by the Monsoon Singh government.
Correct. Thank you so much, Nasir Hussain, for speaking to India Today. So the project was conceived in 2008-2009 under the UPA government. Jairam Ramesh had gone to Africa, but the fact is the project was then stalled. It could not go ahead, and it was then eventually in 2022 that the Modi government signed an MOU with Namibia. But Congress says all of this is tamasha. I want to go across to Mausami Singh because she's been tracking the Bharat Jodo Yatra across the 12 states. Mausami, what is the Congress's reaction? Because yes, it did start with the UPA government, but it could not continue. How is Jairam Ramesh, who was then an environment minister, and the Congress party questioning what the Prime Minister said today?
Right. Pooja, we were just trying to connect with Jairam Ramesh. He said he would react on this matter, but he has actually put out a tweet clearly, and you know, this Cheetah project in fact was discussed and also approved by the UPA way back in 2008-9. That's what the Congress has tweeted out as well, and the Congress now says that this Bharat Jodo Yatra, since you mentioned that the lion is out doing the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and that's one reason that the cheetah is being brought from Africa. So clearly, basically, political jargons and rhetoric gathering momentum here over the entire issue, because this is being connected with Prime Minister's birthday that happens today. And clearly, the Congress has an issue here saying that the continuity of governance is not being credited. The governments of the past are not being credited for the policies. And in the battle of one-upmanship, the NDA government, the Modi government is quick to claim credit.
So is this diverting attention from other issues, not giving credit to previous governments, or is this about the political will of this government that managed to eventually have the African cheetahs into the Indian land? Mausami Singh tracking all the latest on that. Now remember, while the experts are, some of them are skeptical, while the politicians are bickering, the Kuno National Park has been chosen as the new home for the return of the cheetahs. They are African cheetahs, though not Asiatic cheetahs that went extinct. But why was Kuno National Park chosen of all others that was studied? Experts, for a reason, decided that it has to be this park that is best suited for the cheetahs to arrive. Here's why. Shivarur will explain to you about the reasons that got Kuno National Park the clarity and clearance for the African cheetahs.
It's very, very important. It's because it's free of human habitation. The Kuno National Park is famous because it's highly uninhabited. There are only animals there, very, very free from human habitation. It's an adequate base for prey. There's a lot of wild animals there which will be potential prey for the cheetahs. It offers a forest and grassland mosaic according to experts. It's not just forest but also long stretches of plain grassland, which is the preferred kind of terrain where cheetahs actually operate and live in. It has major tree species like salai, kardai, kher and tendu in that particular area. All of those make it a pretty biodiverse place, and the climatic conditions are tropical and temperate at the same time, and therefore could suit the cheetahs being translocated there.
Cheetah is the fastest living mammal on Earth with 120 km/h of speed, but tragically could not run fast enough due to the hunting that took place over the decades from Mughal emperors to the British colonialists and even to the Indian kings. There was also, remember, for trophies, for breeding in captivity, all of this worked against the cheetah population. Only 50 Asiatic cheetahs are left in Iran, 7,000 left in African nations. Here's why, when they are
vulnerable and critically endangered. The world's fastest land mammal is set to arrive at the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. But the relocation from Namibia in southern Africa to India, where they became extinct 70 years ago, is fraught with challenge. Experts involved in the project agree the reintroduction of the large carnivore to its natural habitat is a longer-term effort.
Possibly could have. And once the cats arrive, they will go into holding bomas that are there in Kuno, which will also be where they'll be staying for the next month during their quarantine there in India as well.
Sleek, meant for speed as high as 74 miles an hour, ducking and diving like an athlete, cheetahs are delicate animals though. Animals which avoid conflict. They may have confronted lions and leopards back in Namibia, but in Kuno, the guests won't be welcomed graciously by competing predators. Like wolves, striped hyenas and sloth bears, not to mention the resident leopards in the Indian habitat, which can very well chase away cheetahs or worse, make a meal of them. And don't forget the tigers ranging in from Ranthambore, just 80 odd miles away. Dietary shift poses another challenge. In Namibia, the cats would go for the small game, bringing them palas on their banquet table. Not a risk-free venture for them in Kuno that offers bigger praise in the buffet, and that explains why the cheetahs will be radio-collared in their new homes.
They are satellite collars and VHF, and so the collars actually have batteries in them that allow them to actually be tracked via satellite, and so we'll be able to follow where they are at all.
Cheetahs are highly adaptable. They have survived and thrived in deserts, grasslands and mountains in southern Africa. International experts extending all assistance they can to the rangers on the ground in Kuno to help the cats adapt.
These cheetahs would much prefer to have wild game than they would to have livestock. And so a lot of it is just for them to adapt to their new area, different sights, different sounds, and find their way around. And that's something that we will be assisting them with the researchers and the rangers on the ground to monitor them very, very closely for the country and for the people around Kuno.
A major experiment in cheetah conservation, a project whose success relies heavily on space, prey and less human interference in their new home. With Ashutosh Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
There is politics to it because the incumbent government is attempting to show how it's taking projects, undertaking them that could have been stalled earlier, and this time a mega historic moment of bringing the cheetahs. But we compiled for you since Narendra Modi becoming the Prime Minister, there have been regular initiatives for wildlife conservation, for environment protection. Take a look at this special report of all these instances in the past few years and initiatives by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
It was his 69th birthday on September 17th of 2019. Prime Minister Narendra Modi released a basket of colourful butterflies at a butterfly park in Gujarat. He named the saffron-coloured plain tiger butterfly as the state butterfly. That day, he also visited a cactus garden and the Ekta nursery near the statue